Hello, 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 and welcome to Catch Up with Sonny. This week, talking about the newly announced Avatar Studios. I'm so excited to talk about this. That's amazing, amazing news. We also got some other stuff to talk about. Let me just bring up my little thing here, just so that I can give you a quick rundown. So yeah, the newly formed Avatar Studios. Then we're also going to be talking about the J.J. Abrams Superman reboot. There's some stuff going on with that. Then also Spider-Man 3. We have a title, No Way Home. So talking a little bit about that as well. Star Wars: The Bad Batch, when it's going to debut, and then some other stuff like a little Henry Cavill rumor, and then of course, as always, your questions and your comments from StreamLabs and SuperChat, and also just the usual chat as well. I'm gonna try to keep an eye on that as best as I possibly can. And I do want to say, just really quick up front, I already mentioned Streamlabs and SuperChat. You can see I always forget it's mirrored. There's a link right there that says ask a question and donate. And that means that yes, you can ask a question or throw in any comment, and then we will get to it as quickly as possible. And then you can also donate a little bit to the channel while you're doing it. It helps us stay alive. It helps me to do everything that I'm doing with the channel, put out more reactions and more videos, all of that good stuff. So really appreciate all the support. And if you haven't already, then please just give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, all of that. But I am not alone today. I have a special guest who is going to be joining me here, who's going to help me with talking about all the good Avatar stuff and theorizing about what could happen with the newly announced Avatar Studios. And that someone is you may have seen his name pop up down in the comments in our Avatar videos. He is our guardian angel when it comes to spoilers, making sure that Kat and I we don't get spoiled when it comes to everything that goes on in the Avatar universe. He did it with The Last Airbender. Now he's doing it with The Legend of Korra, and that someone is Sweel. I think his username on YouTube at the moment is RB, but still he's our guardian, as I said. But I'm also just gonna let him introduce himself a little bit. So why don't we just bring him in and then get this whole thing started? So it's just not me sitting here talking by myself and getting all in the throat, like I've done a couple of times before. So let me just go over on Zoom and get him right now. There we go in the waiting room. And let's see. It's joining, and there we go. Welcome to Catch Up with Sonny. It's so good to have you here, buddy.
Hi, thanks. Hi, chat. I can see I was watching and I can recognize Ofek from the reactions. I've been seeing his comments like very frequently.
Nice, nice. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's a lot of the usual peeps here, and I'm sure some new
yeah,
people joining in as well. I see my dear mom is in the chat as per usual too.
yeah,
Very good to see you. But yeah, before we get going with all the news and that stuff, I thought why don't you introduce yourself and like your connection to this
yeah,
community and who you are, where you're from, or a little bit of that, as much as you want to divulge,
yeah,
of course.
yeah. So I'm on the internet. I'm Sweel. I'm from France, and I've been on your channel for like a pretty long time since Game of Thrones reactions.
Yeah, from the beginning then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I was starting to. I suggested actually pretty early that the Avatar reactions in the comments.
Yeah.
And when you started the reactions, I was like, I guess you kind of need to be careful with spoilers because people get excited and stuff.
Hmm.
And I said, well, I guess I could just do it. And so you made me moderator for the Avatar reactions, and so I've been moderator on Avatar and Korra since you released them.
Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
has been a great
yeah,
help because, as you said, people get very excited about stuff
mm,
and they want to tell us about everything that's going
yeah,
on. And sometimes maybe hinting at some stuff that hasn't happened
Mm-hmm.
yet. And then it's good to have
Nope.
someone like you as a
Yeah.
guardian angel just being there and protecting us from some of those spoilers. And then of course, yeah, we can put those comments in again later. So it's just to all you guys out there, if you put in a comment in one of our Avatar reaction videos,
I've seen, I've read every single comment on the Avatar and the chorus stuff on your channel for sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and we don't,
So
we,
if there's anyone watching the live right now who like made comments on the Avatar and stuff, they can just make a comment. I'll recognize the name for sure.
yeah, 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 definitely, definitely. Yeah, you're always the first one to see all the comments, and then
Yeah.
when you tell us it's clear, it's good to go, that's when
Yeah.
we go and check the comments.
That's
So
our tradition. Yep.
yeah, exactly. And it's been a good tradition so far, I should
Mm.
say. Like it's
Yeah.
really been working out really, really well to our benefit,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. Um, but yeah, I see, yeah, more and more people are joining. That is awesome. That's awesome. But should we just maybe get into the main topic? Because I think that's going to be the
Mm-hmm.
meat of it. That's something that we can talk about for a little while
Mm-hmm.
at least. And I first off, I think I'm just gonna bring up like the official announcement here. I got it from one of the articles or like many websites who have been reporting on
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. So I'm just gonna read a little bit of it out loud, and just
Yep.
so that everybody is on the same page, everybody knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So to those of you who may not know exactly what's going on, what's this Avatar Studios all of a sudden? The deal is that Nickelodeon is expanding the Avatar Last Airbender universe with a new streaming movies and shows. Nickelodeon has established Avatar Studios to develop new animated films and series in the world of Avatar and the Legend of Korra. I'm just gonna pause real quick because I see that
Mm-hmm.
Apocalypse he just put in a very, very, very generous StreamLabs last one for a while. Thank you so much, buddy. You're one of the people who's definitely been supporting us a lot, and supporting these streams, supporting this show, catch up with Sonny, and keeping us going, keeping me on the air here doing this stuff. So I appreciate it so much, and just love having you. And that's one of the people who's also been a part of the community
Mm-hmm.
for a pretty
Yeah.
long while.
Thanks, Apocalypse. Regular on the Twitch streams, and
Yeah.
there's Hoople and Alfie as well on the chat. Hi guys.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All like the crew, yeah, everybody
Yeah.
who's also, yeah, as you said, been joining in on Twitch, which
Mm-hmm.
is something that I do from time to time whenever I can, yeah, manage to find some time to actually do it when I'm not editing and all that stuff. But yeah, all right, getting quickly back into the Avatar Studios news here. But yeah, it's saying here that it's about to get bigger, the whole universe. They have established Avatar Studios, a new content division dedicated to expanding the beloved franchise with animated shows and movies for streaming and linear platforms, as well as theatrical releases. That's really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
studio's first project will be a theatrical film set to begin production later this year. In an official press release, original series creators and executive producers Brian Konietzko and Michael DiMartino said it's hard to believe it's been 19 years since we created Avatar: The Last Airbender, but even after all that time, there are still many stories and time periods in Aang's world that we are eager to bring to life. We are fortunate to have an ever growing community of passionate fans that enjoys exploring the Avatar verse as much as we do. And with this new Avatar Studios venture, we have an unparalleled opportunity to develop our franchise and its storytelling on a vast scale in a myriad of exciting ways and mediums. And they continue and saying like that the Avatar, Last Airbender, and Korra, like they've grown at least tenfold in popularity since their
Mm-hmm. Yep.
original hit runs on Nickelodeon. And the Nickelodeon animation president Ramsey Naito and this is from Brian Robbins, president of Viacom, are incredibly excited to have Mike and Brian's genius talent on board to helm a studio devoted to expanding their characters and world into new content and formats for fans everywhere. So yeah, that's just extremely, extremely
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
And they closed the article here with saying that despite a disastrous live action film adaptation in 2010, Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra have maintained a massive fan base that will no doubt be delighted by the news that
Mm.
Konietzko and DiMartino will be involved in a slate of new Avatar animated projects. The pair had initially been attached to a live action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender over on Netflix, but they left because of
Mm.
creative differences. And Kat and I
Mm-hmm.
already talked a little bit about that. And Kat had her rant about why she thinks what they're doing over there at Netflix, it's just not, at least not what we want to see when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to
Mm-hmm.
a live action
Yeah.
Avatar adaptation. But I'm just so happy that, the original creators, even though they left that project, that they've just started
Well,
something even bigger and better, and it like excited the fan base so much more, I think, than
mm,
what like the prospect of a
yeah.
live action series. But
Yeah,
what do you
because it
think about
was,
all of it?
yeah. So I mean, I think clearly it's connected that they left the Netflix series and then created their studios. Like, there's no way to know if they already wanted to make the studio and that's why they left, or they left and then they, I guess we'll never know.
Nope.
But I mean, it has to be connected, I think. And it was so sad. I mean, when they said that they left, and it seemed like the live action series was going to be the only thing that we would ever get again from
Mm,
Avatar,
yeah.
and to think that they left it was kind of left a sour taste in your mouth.
It sure did.
But
Sure did.
yeah, and but to think that that was because they were going to create their own studio, and it's like the announcing that they're creating the MCU for Avatar. It's so much bigger than one live action series from Netflix, which everyone's, I think,
Much.
is kind of on the fence about, like in terms of expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, because in my opinion, I just have a hard time imagining that anything live action in the world of Avatar could be as good as something that's animated.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that they're just gonna do animation for everything they're gonna do in this studio.
Yeah, I'm so happy about that as well. Keeping it in that animation style,
Mm,
even if they are doing, as the article said, theatrical releases and movies besides just new animated series, and also just with the, yeah, I guess you could call it like a sort of a remake thing that they're doing on Netflix. That's a story that we've already seen. Like there's nothing, but
mm,
maybe, of course, they're gonna do something new and different in
mhm.
that series, but
It's
it's
gonna
not a
be
new story.
interesting,
Mm,
like as a creative process, like how do they recreate it in live action? Like everyone wants to see Appa or like the bending powers and stuff, but
hmm.
there's not gonna be any actual like surprises in the story or anything.
No.
So it's good. I mean, I'm interested in it, and uh, I don't know if I'm optimistic, but I'm not pessimistic about it.
Mm, yeah, like
But yeah, it's hard to be as hyped about it as a completely new series in animated form.
yeah, yeah. Especially like if like we are, and I'm sure many of the people watching here are big fans of the
Mm,
Avatar universe, the Avatar verse, as it's also called apparently. Be it, yeah, The Last Airbender or The Legend of Korra, any of the comics that we've gotten as well that Kat and I we still need to get into. It's still, yeah, the prospect of getting new stories and not something that we've
mm-hmm,
necessarily seen before. Because yeah, I already alluded to they might do something different in the live action series, and they might, like, but unless they really change up the storylines and
mm,
really change up the characters, just besides
yeah.
the whole aging thing, then
Mm.
we're not going to see a lot of new stuff in that.
No, no. I mean, it won't be a shot for shot like remake in just in a different live action form.
No.
There's gonna be like new stuff, or at least like a different way to present the same stuff, but it's just not as exciting. For I mean, to me, it's not.
No, no, me neither. And it's always going to be interesting to see, like, when you take something that was animated or you're adapting it from a book or a game or
Mm-hmm,
whatever it is, comics, that seeing, okay, who are they going to cast? How is it going to look live action? Because it's always
mm,
like you can do some impressive stuff live action and
mm-hmm,
get some real good actors in there. But from what we've heard and what we know about it is that they want to change up the tone at least and make it more mature, make it more adult. So it's just going to have a totally different feel to it, and that might be
Mm.
what they're bringing to the table, and that is at least what I am also casually optimistic or at least casually excited about, just or maybe just curious to see how that's going to look. But
Mm.
yeah, let's get back on track with the Avatar Studios because there
Yeah.
are so many possibilities with that, and just talking about
Absolutely. Yeah.
where they could go
Yeah.
inside of the universe, either
Mm.
into the future or into the past. Like,
Mm.
what are you most excited about?
Yeah.
Do you have anything that?
So
Yeah.
first of all, I'm just excited that there's going to be several like series or movies. I mean, we don't know exactly, but it's not even just one thing. Like they're actually committing to creating several new entire pieces of like, that's so there's so many that they can pick from.
Hmm.
And with the original creators being at the head of the studios, like they've had like 20 years to think about this because I think they've started it must be approximately 20 years since it's popped up into their heads.
Yeah.
So they must have like great ideas that they figured out over time and that they just didn't have opportunity to actually make.
Yeah, yeah, to realize those
Yeah.
ideas that they've just been going around, and maybe they've like putting a lot of stuff down on paper and thinking, okay, if we could continue, we would do something like that, or we
Mm-hmm.
would focus on this character or that past avatar or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
just the prospect of it being both series and
Mm-hmm.
movies and theatrical releases,
Mm-hmm.
that's like if
Yeah.
they're gonna go in and compete with other big animation studios
Mm-hmm.
like Pixar and DreamWorks and all of that stuff like that
Yeah.
I find that quite exciting as well because
Yeah.
maybe that's gonna open up and expand the fan base even more and more people
Yeah.
are gonna go back
That's
and
a
watch the old
certainty. Yeah.
series,
Yeah.
which they deserve all the love in the world,
Yeah,
the old
yeah, and
series.
we can thank Netflix US for getting Avatar on their platform because
Hmm.
I think that was a huge jump for. It must have been. I don't have the numbers obviously, but it must have been a huge jump
Hmm.
for them in terms of like popularity. That's when, for example, if you take a look at the YouTube reactions, it really started like almost at the same time as the Netflix US
Yeah.
release, and I think that's what gave them so much momentum to, and it eventually built up to this point where Nickelodeon was like, okay, there's so many people that are excited about it. We're just gonna give you a studio, and you can make like whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly,
That's
like the
that's that's
interest is
amazing
just.
because
Yeah.
yeah, like 5 years ago, 5 years ago, I guess Goa ended or somewhere about that time.
Yeah.
You would never have guessed that a new like there will be a whole new series and an entire studio dedicated to it at Nickelodeon,
No,
and
yeah.
it's built up so much ever since. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's
Mm,
kind of like not exactly the same thing, but Avatar being put on Netflix and then so many more people being able to see it. Like you can compare it to something like when Breaking Bad, for example, when that
mm,
started, it had
mm,
gone on for about 2 or 3 seasons, and it wasn't the big juggernaut series that it
mm,
became later on. But then it got put on Netflix, and people were able to binge like the first 3 or 4 seasons, and then when they started airing the new episodes and everybody was just in on it, and I
mm, mm,
think same is going on at the moment for a series like Cobra Kai, which started over on YouTube Red, I think it was called, or something. That's
mhm,
where they had their start. They did 2 seasons, and then they got signed on by Netflix, and they put the first 2 seasons on Netflix. People were able to
mm.
binge them, and then they put out the third season. And now a lot of people are doing reactions to that, and reviews and talking about it.
Yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah,
We haven't seen it,
no, me
because
neither. Yeah,
it's I
mm,
feel like at least one should be familiar with
mhm,
the Karate Kids franchise
mhm,
a
mhm.
little bit more in depth, and
Yeah,
I'm not at
no, me
least,
neither.
but at least it's the same concept that
Mhm,
putting it on a big streaming platform like Netflix that would really just, yeah, so many more eyes are on it all of
mhm.
a sudden. And then
Yeah,
with
yeah,
avatars in particular, just the fan base growing,
yeah.
growing
And
and growing and
they
growing.
really deserve it. I mean, I think it's a great testament to the all the work that they put into Atlas, especially because when Korra released, they already knew that they had a great success with Atla, but
Mm.
when they released Atla, they just went from nothing to Avatar, and that was it was just a show for kids on Nickelodeon in 2005, and they could have done so much lower, like in terms of their standards, and it would still be fine for Nickelodeon at that time for that audience.
Mm.
But they went just above and beyond. They put so much effort into it, and it's finally actually paying off like 15 years later, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah, good things comes to
Mm-mm.
the people who wait patiently,
Yeah.
I guess.
Mm,
And also, yeah, you mentioned when they started doing the Last Airbender, like what I know about it at least is like someone like Dave Filoni, who's working on a lot of Star Wars stuff now.
mm,
He was working on the first season of Avatar: The Last Airbender and directing a lot of the episodes and doing such a good job that Lucasfilm kind of just scooped him up
yeah. Yeah.
from Avatar, and then he wasn't working on the
Mm-mm.
on book 2 and 3. But at least like just already from the first book, from the first season,
Mm.
people were noticing and seeing that okay, this is at
Yeah.
least some like the
This is
stories
way
that they're
better
telling.
than Nickelodeon deserves.
Yeah,
that's
like the stories
that's
they're
so much
telling.
above
Yeah,
like what you would expect, sure, on Nickelodeon at that time. Like it's you wouldn't believe it. Like if you just discovered it on Netflix last year, you'd think, yeah, it's just they did it for Netflix in
hmm
2019. No, no, it's for Nickelodeon in 2005.
yeah, it's before its time, really, and
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
themes, the characters, all the thought that went into it, the world building.
Mm.
It's so well thought out, and it wasn't just a
It
now we
all
need
comes
to
back.
entertain the
It's all a
kids.
circle, and it all makes sense. Everywhere you look at it, it just makes sense. It's
Exactly, like, and not even a
amazing
lot
world.
of like filler episodes like we've
Mm.
seen in
No.
so many other animated series. I know
Mm-mm.
people always like
Mm-mm.
to discuss whether or not The Great Divide is a filler
Mm.
episode or not.
Mm.
But at least like it was so focused on story and continuity and
Mm.
characters growing as people, and then young kids being able to see themselves in these characters and getting so many good lessons from them. And I like to
Mm.
compare it actually to something like Star Wars, which is
Mm.
it's accessible to everybody. Yes, it is geared toward kids. It's made for kids, but everybody can watch it and get something out of it and something different out of it, depending on
Mm-hmm.
your age or where you're
Mm.
from, your culture, where you are in life. And
Mm.
they borrowed as well from a lot of other, a lot of fantasy tropes, and them borrowing like both Western influences and Asian influences. It's yeah, that's what I
Mm.
at least really enjoyed about it, and what I know like Kat really enjoyed about it as well
Mm-hmm.
is so it's so universal, the whole series and
Yeah, for
everything that
sure.
they did
Yeah.
with it. So
Mm-mm.
just the thought of getting more like that now is, oh, it's so amazing. And just when the
Mm.
news popped up, I just jumped out of my
Mhm.
chair because I was
Yeah.
like, yes, like we were just ranting about like the original creators leaving the Netflix project,
Mm.
and damn, what are they gonna do now? And okay,
Yeah.
so as you said,
That's what.
okay, so the only Avatar thing we're gonna get is just a live action remake that's gonna
Mm.
be different in ways that we may not really like, or like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the fan base are like, oh,
Mm.
that's like creative differences with the
Mm-hmm.
original creators, like Netflix. What are you doing? But
Mm.
now that we have this, and I'm sure, like what you said, it is something that they have been walking around with and thinking about new stories, and maybe also talking to Nickelodeon about this deal with creating a whole studio to themselves. It's something that's been in the works
Mm-hmm.
possibly for a little while, and that could
Oh yeah.
also be why they decided to ultimately pull the plug over on Netflix and be like, you know what?
Mm.
We don't need this headache. We got this
Nope.
bigger and better thing over here. So
Yeah.
you guys just play around with your little adaptation thing, and then we're gonna go over and do like the real awesome stuff here and continue
Mm-hmm.
what made Avatar successful in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you asked me like so I don't know what direction they'll get, but I have some like personal
Hmm?
like wishes that they
Yeah, yeah. Let's
could
get
make.
into it. Let's get
So
into it.
I'd really like kind of a deeper dive into the spirits and the spirit world generally, because I
Yes.
think it's such a mysterious and fascinating part of both of Atla and Tlok.
Hmm. Definitely.
And there's so many like for example, Wan Shi Tong is one of my favorite characters, and I mean, he's got like 10 minutes, but I think he's amazing. Like his design is so intriguing, and
Hmm.
it's so amazing. And there's so many spirits, and the face stealer. And when they walk into the face stealer's like sort of cave, there's some kind of huge foxy looking creature in the background.
Yeah, a
It's
big
so
wolf or something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it just makes you think what's going on with the spirits. And
Yes, how old are some of the
yeah,
spirits, and how
yeah.
did the spirit world start, and exactly how did they cross over into the material world at first? Maybe I should just say to everybody who's watching that we are probably, or most certainly, going to get into some spoiler stuff for Avatar: The Last Airbender, like the entire series, and mentioning stuff from that. And then when it comes to The Legend of Korra, we're gonna go up to the episodes called Beginnings Part 1 and 2, where we really go into the past a little bit. Um,
Mm,
and look at like the first Avatar. And then we're not gonna go beyond that because Kat and I haven't really seen a lot beyond that. So anything specifically Legend of Korra spoiler wise from like the ending of book 2 and then book 3 and book 4, we're not gonna get into that. So please don't send any comments in
mm.
about any spoilers there. It's hard for you to
I'm
moderate
not
right
gonna be
now.
moderating at the
No.
same time.
Not right now, at least. You're off. You're off. But yeah, just wanted to mention that's we're
We're
probably
going
gonna get
up
into
to
some of.
beginnings part 2 and then nothing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because that is at least we have to talk a little bit about
Hmm.
those two episodes maybe in
Hmm.
particular, because that opens up a lot of doors.
Yeah.
Because that's when, at least for Kat and I, like we didn't see that coming. Like
Oh
thankfully,
no.
once again,
Yep.
no one had spoiled anything or hinted at anything, thanks to
Hmm.
you as well. So when that came about and we saw that, oh, we're gonna get to know like the origins of the first Avatar, how that whole thing
Hmm.
started, and getting to know about like interaction between humans and spirits and the lion turtles and
Hmm.
all of that good stuff.
The lion turtles are fascinating because
Mm,
in Atla, I think the lion turtles only pops up right at the very end when he gives Avatar the power of, or at least the knowledge of energy bending.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
And then they come back in beginnings, and you actually figure out that the entire, like, all the nations are living on top of the turtles, and then that it's such fascinating world building, and we just didn't get anything about it up until this point.
exactly.
And
And
there's so much that they could explore about the not necessarily like the lion turtles, but how the nations developed and created their powers, and or polished their bending, because
mm,
that's what they're really doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I find really exciting as well. And there's so much time there that they can explore because there's like what 10,000 years between one, the first Avatar, and then all the way up to the events, at least in around Korra, I believe it's about 10,000 years, right?
I'm not sure actually, but
I
if
think
you read it somewhere, I guess
I
it's
think I think they mentioned it at least in the
yeah.
episodes that with the whole thing with the harmonic convergence that
Mm,
that's
oh yeah, yeah,
every
yeah, could
10,000
be.
years, and I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think
okay.
there's been one between the first
No,
Avatar
no, no.
and then Korra. But 10,000 years, that's a lot to
Mm-hmm.
explore, and even maybe if
Yep.
they go further back than the first
Mm-hmm.
Avatar, like I wouldn't mind
Mm-hmm.
that either. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but what do you think? Like if we just focus on the theatrical releases, the movies,
Mm-hmm.
what do you
Mm-hmm.
think they should lead with? Because that apparently that's what they're
Mm.
doing first, is creating
Yeah.
a movie.
So yeah, I guess the shorter uh, format. I mean, you have 2 hours instead of however much the entire show is.
Mm,
I'd like to, because there's specific characters that I think you could focus on.
mm,
And for example, I'm a big like Roku fan. I think he's
yeah,
just see, ever since he pops up. I think in episode 8. I
yeah.
think.
Winter solstice. I think that's when
Yeah, when
we.
he
Yeah,
was the dragon with Aang, and he explains to the situation to him and stuff.
yeah,
And there's those little characters that I think they really could dedicate just 2 hours to their life, or
mm,
something about them. And I think that'd be a good lead. Yeah, just
yeah.
find a character that everyone likes in the shows, but that you just didn't really have time to get into too much,
Yes,
and give them their own movie.
I think that that's really good. That's a really good idea. Because maybe not necessarily just creating a whole new story and getting to know
Mm,
like a lot of new characters and
mm,
getting into all of that. The first project, the first movie, maybe like when they come out the gate, they should come out strong with something that we are at least vaguely familiar with, or a character that we know about and that we already have some sort of relationship to, and the people can hype up that the fans that are already there
yep.
can hype it up for the
Mhm,
people who maybe don't know a lot about
mhm,
it and can be like, oh, if you want to know about this character before you watch the movie, then you can go back and watch the
mhm,
series, or you can read some of the comics. Or when they have watched the movie, then and they're like, oh, this Roku guy, he was freaking amazing. Like, I would love to actually know even more about him or get more of
mhm,
his
mhm,
story and see where he ended up. And it's like, oh yeah, you can go back and do that
mhm.
in Last Airbender,
Atla, yeah.
because it's already there.
Mm.
So yeah, someone like Roku, that could be a really cool thing. Like, but what do you think about? Because yes, we do have the comics, but I think that's something that the least amount of people have gotten
Oh
into.
yeah, I haven't read the comics. I haven't read them.
Yeah, maybe adapting some of those, or at least
Yeah, yeah,
making
yeah. Because
them
I know
accessible.
I just have a vague idea of what they're about,
Hmm.
like the general themes. Um, yeah, that could be a good adaptation. But I I kind of wish that we would kind of get away from Avatar Aang and
Hmm.
the gang, and
Yeah,
because I feel like we've been I mean Atla has been its own show before Korra,
yeah,
and it could have just been its own show because it's already a masterpiece in itself.
yeah. They could have ended it
And
right there.
then yeah, and then so we brought them back for Korra because Korra is only 70 years later, and that's fine because the Atla characters just come in like very very punctually, and I think they handled it very well the way that they bring them back just enough so that it's not too overwhelming.
Yeah, it's not they don't take
Yeah.
over.
No, 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 no.
And the focus is not
Mm,
necessarily on them. It's just
yeah.
the stories that we already know about, at least when with the Legend of Korra,
Mm.
and it's not always like, oh, here you go, nostalgia, nostalgia,
No,
and do you
no,
remember this,
no.
and do you remember that, and here's a
Mm-hmm.
character that you already love. Like, they don't do
Mm-hmm.
that all the time,
No.
and especially not to the point where we are right now. But still, maybe having some characters that we are familiar with in this first
Mm-hmm.
theatrical movie,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
probably.
after that, when they do the next series, then they can really open up the doors to
Mm-hmm.
something
Yeah, that
that
makes
we are
sense. Yeah.
not familiar with at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
And then because there's so many avatars to choose from, I'm sure.
Mm.
Once like
Yeah, I mean
if we have these
there's
10,000
literally
years.
hundreds, so
Yeah. Like if
yeah.
you just look at that room in the
Mm.
Southern Air
Oh
Temple,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Where it's just rows and rows and
Mm-hmm.
rows of
Mm-hmm.
avatar statues.
Mm-hmm.
So it means like there's so many to choose from, and they
Mm-hmm.
all probably had a really interesting story and
Okay.
something that they went through.
Yeah, okay. So I did have this idea on this
Hmm.
topic that they could dedicate a series or movie, whatever, to like it'd be in the Avatar universe, but the Avatar is not actually the main character or even in the main focus of the show.
Hmm.
It's like in Atla, if you focused on some kind of village in the Earth Kingdom,
Yeah.
and you would just hear about Aang and his adventures, like just punctually and randomly throughout the show.
Yeah.
And I hope that maybe I'm not sure how you would make it um, as interesting as a show that's actually focused on the avatar, but I think it could be nice. And I mean, they're so good that they would make it nice for sure. If they could focus on some kind of group that's not actually related to the avatar, it's still the avatar world, there's still bending going on,
Hmm.
but the avatar's in the background and it's like this kind of legendary being that
Yeah.
maybe not everyone has seen the avatar because we see Aang all the time, we see Korra all the time, but there must be people in this world who have never seen them
Yeah. And just
and
only
who
heard
only hear
about it.
stories. Yeah,
Yeah.
and what that must be like such a strange feeling because there's this sort of godly being that has all the bending powers in your world and who is kind of supposed to save you.
Yes.
And it must, if they wrote a story from this point of view, I think it could be fascinating.
Yeah. And instead of going with the larger than life characters like the
Mm-hmm,
Avatar
mm-hmm,
and fire lords and the big spirits and all that, but focusing on just
Mhm.
the more like normal, grounded people that
Mhm.
are just living day to day and hearing about this, getting into their own struggles.
Mhm.
We also have like if we are just getting closer to the Adler period, there is the 100-year war that
Mhm.
they could also get into and they could
Yep.
learn more about.
Yep.
Where yes, the Avatar is gone, and then that could also because yeah, I'm always gonna end up comparing stuff to Star Wars, but it's just like with the like we've been following in the movies in the main trilogies, we've been following the Jedi and the Sith, and once again these larger than life characters who has the Force and can do all of these amazing things. But there is a huge world where, yeah, like these stories are myths and legends for some people, and
Mhm.
for some
Mhm.
people they don't even really know about their existence. They're
Mhm.
not quite sure what it is and what they can do, and they can do like they can have the same approach, something like the Avatar verse, where yeah, it can be a group of people who are still struggling and just they know about the Avatar vaguely, and if we get into the 100-year war, then they know about okay, there was this thing called the Avatar, but then he disappeared or something,
Mhm.
and now he's not there anymore. Is
Yeah.
he ever
Must be
really there?
confusing.
And yeah, exactly. It must be really confusing for
Yeah.
people in that time. And then they're just going up against this great empire in the Fire
Mhm.
Nation, where it's like it's an unwinnable war for many
Mhm.
people, and the only places that are really safe in the world is somewhere like Ba Sing Se. I
Mhm.
wouldn't mind getting into yeah something like Ba Sing Se and seeing okay,
Yeah.
so what
Ofek just
how
brought it
did
up
they
in the chat. Yeah.
yeah
The siege of Basingse, he says. Yeah.
yeah that could be really interesting as well and or maybe seeing like how did that city come to be in the state that it is in Atla,
Mhm.
like why are they like what's with the Dai like
Mhm. Mhm.
how did they create this
Mhm.
weird society where no one knows about what's going on outside of their
Mhm.
very big
Mhm.
walls. I find that fascinating as well, so like there's so many story opportunities there. And I would
Mhm.
love for everybody who's watching to, yeah, send in like what would you like to see? Do you have like a something that you've been thinking about in the world of the Avatar where it's this is what I would like to see. This is the character they should focus on, or this is the
Yeah.
time period they should focus on. Just
What's your character that you don't get enough of in
yeah,
Atla
exactly.
and
Just send
in
in your
Core?
Streamlabs and your super chats
For
and
me,
the normal
that's
chat. Yeah.
Wen Shitong and Woku.
Yes, yes. Yeah, the library, man. That's so
He's got
interesting.
such a it's yeah. I don't know how they did that on Nickelodeon. Just come up with this design and this energy, this weird creature. It's
Yeah,
such
and
creativity.
it's interesting, but also
Hmm.
kind of like you're afraid for like
Oh yeah, he's very spooky.
him and like what's going on there and just
Mm,
things that he's saying and all the knowledge that he possesses. How did he like? How did that come to be? When did he create that library? That could also be something
mm-hmm,
really cool to get
hmm.
into. We do have one Streamlabs here that I didn't
Okay,
notice. From Ray PS Rapes. First, how are you both doing? I'm doing pretty well.
super good.
Thumbs up. Avatar Studios was the best announcement in 2021
Mm-hmm.
yet. I think that's
Yep.
yeah, I can't really think of anything that trumps this
Nope.
at the moment, like entertainment wise. It's just been oh yeah. You just yeah, hearing or listening to you and I talking about this, like there's
Mm-hmm.
so many possibilities with this where it's just it makes your head spin with just oh man, they can do so much awesome shit in,
Mm-hmm.
in that world. Because I have complete faith in them, in the original
Mm. Yeah,
creators,
me too.
with what they're doing. Because I know that this stuff means so much to them and to
Mm.
the
Oh yeah,
original
yeah.
creators and
Mm.
the animators. I'm sure like a lot of the people who worked on
I
um
hope so.
the
I hope
original
they'll come
series are
back.
come.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The core people are amazing. Like there's I don't know if I guess you shouldn't say it because there's probably spoilers, but there's someone on YouTube who's like an animator who works in the industry, and he makes analysis of animation in different like anime, cartoon, and stuff.
Yeah.
And he made a video on Avatar and on Korra, and it's especially Korra when he like really breaks it down in terms of the animation studio, their history, and the work that they put into it.
Hmm?
It's fascinating, and it's you can tell that it's extremely hard work, and that they put again just a lot more effort into it than we would have allowed them to.
Yeah, yeah. Just yeah, and you can clearly see, and I don't want to say anything bad about the studio that did some of the episodes in book
Oh
two
yeah,
of
yeah.
Korra,
But
because I'm
it's
sure
lower
they
in
did their
quality. Yeah,
absolutely best
yeah.
with that and really
Hmm.
tried, but it was just
You
impossible
can
to
tell.
live up
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Studio Mir and how
Hmm.
they just knocked it out of the park every
Oh yeah,
time and
yeah.
coming up with new visual representations of things and designs that never even in our
Hmm.
wildest imaginations could have come up with.
Hmm. Yeah,
And if they continue in that vein, which I'm sure they're going to do, and now like the 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 tools that animators have, I'm sure have
oh
just
yeah.
gotten better and
I
better, and
guess
it's
so. Yeah.
become easier and quicker to make things look really polished, amazing,
Hmm.
and the road from imagination to paper
To
and
the
or the
screen.
screen,
Yeah.
yeah, it's become shorter and shorter.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yeah, the tools there is just there's so much more that they can do now. So that's why I also think that they have the confidence to be like, yeah, we're not just gonna give you one new series. What we're gonna tell you
Hmm.
is we're gonna create a slew of new awesome series and movies, and this is
Hmm.
like, yeah, I love the confidence in it that they
Yep.
and it
Yeah.
seems like, yeah, they know what they're doing, and as I
Mm.
said, I trust them.
Yeah. Me too.
And I see in the chat at least from Bree Psy Upper series.
Apple
That is all.
series. Yep.
That is all.
I
Yeah,
mean, it's not even just a joke. The
no,
animals, like the avatar companions, or
yeah,
they could be it could be its own subject, like Roku's dragon, um,
yeah.
Korra's polar bear dog, Appa. They're all actually their own characters, and they're super interesting.
Yeah, they really are. And I love that about like, yeah, even just the companion animal
Yep. Yeah.
in that universe, they have so much personality and
Mm-mm.
so much depth in like their like what they mean, just
Mhm.
the air bisons, and then we got badgermoles, and we got
Yeah.
the
The
dragons,
Badgermouse
and
story is fascinating. Yeah, with tough
yeah,
learning from them, it's amazing.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, learning how
Mm.
to refine bending from some of
Mm-mm.
these animals.
Mm-mm.
That could be something they could get into as
Mm-mm.
well. So yeah, I don't see the Appa series as a joke at all
Yeah. And
either. It's
Roku, one scene that always makes me a little bit sad is at the end of I think it's Avatar and the Fire Lord, the Roku backstory episode.
yeah.
And Roku's about to die, and his dragon,
Oh,
rose
oh
up
yeah.
around him.
Ah,
Oh,
that
that's
moment.
tough. That's
It's
tough.
yeah, it gets you every time.
Yeah.
And of course we've been rewatching Atla as well, just on the
Yeah.
side, just every day, pretty much, because can't get enough of that show. And I know
Mhm.
it's Kat's favorite show now,
Mm.
of all time, and it's definitely up there for me as
Mhm.
well as one of my favorite shows. It's just um, yeah. Thanks to everybody who recommended it, and I know you
Mhm.
did in
Mhm.
particular, so that we ended up watching it, and now that we can talk about it here, and really just get into the nitty gritties of
Mhm.
it all. But yeah, to see potential ideas, another first ever Fire Lord,
Ooh. Yeah.
that could also be interesting.
That's like nation world building. Like how did all the nation organize after they got their powers from the Lion Tatars in beginnings?
Yes, how did they
Mhm.
end up being like, okay, so like Fire Nation or everybody who are able to firebend, you get this part of the world, and well, it makes sense
Mhm.
getting in like get them getting some of the like volcanic islands and stuff, and then
Mhm.
the Earth Kingdom, which is by far the biggest, and it's like, well, there's like all the every land is kind of, Earth, so that sort of
Mhm.
makes sense. But how did they come to that agreement? And then like the poor waterbenders were just you get
Yep.
the ice cold
You get
North
the
Pole
ice.
and
Yep.
then the South Pole. And
Good
it's just
luck. Have
like,
fun.
come on, there's water other places.
Yeah.
I know they're like the swamp waterbenders as well, but they are,
Mm.
yeah,
Their
interesting.
own thing.
They're
Yep.
their own thing. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And they're not really a nation per se,
Mm.
not as
Mm.
organized as some of the other nations.
Yeah.
I can see more of like the airbenders or the air nomads
Mhm. Mhm.
getting to where they were, if they were going with some of the philosophies that they always
Mhm.
had, and
Mm.
we even saw that in the beginnings episodes with on one of the lion turtles that Juan gets to, and where he gets to the airbending, that they were already in that, living with some of the spirits compared to what the
Mhm.
other
Yeah. Yeah.
people were doing, and they were just
Mm.
living
Everyone else
differently.
was scared of the spirits and trying to
Yeah, but they embraced
wanted
it.
to fight them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always found the air nomad to be like the most intriguing,
Mhm.
because they're just seems like they're living life
Mhm.
the right way in a
Yeah,
sense.
and they
Yeah,
could get their, I'd say they're pretty like higher probability of getting their own little story in a new show because they don't really exist in Avatar: The Last Airbender. They only really exist in, I mean, in beginnings. Like
that's that's
that's
the
it.
that's the
Yeah,
only time that
yeah.
and that and then flashbacks from when Aang
The
was
only time that
young.
you see a group of airbenders.
Exactly, and then of
Hmm.
course we have like the new generation of airbenders in the Legend of Korra, but that's like very small, just one family, and that's it,
Mm,
like Tenzin and his children.
mm,
So yeah, either going back in the past and focusing when on a time when there were more air nomads, or going to the future to like after the Legend of Korra.
mm,
I'm saying that even though I don't know what it's going to end
mm,
with, but
mm.
maybe that's a possibility as well
Yeah. Mm.
when they have gotten to a point where there are way more airbenders again. I don't exactly know how that's going to work, because it's just when if it only is one family, no,
It's, I mean, it's
but yeah, they
so
can
there
still
is
have
no,
children with
yeah, but there is no, as far as I can tell, there is no official explanation
mm,
as to exactly how bending goes from the parents to the children,
yeah,
and
and
like
who gets it.
what's the rule and who gets it, who doesn't.
It feels random.
Because in Korra, Bodin and his brother Mako,
Oh yeah, they have
they're
different.
brothers, but they don't have the same bending.
No, yeah, earthbender, firebender.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
different. Yeah, you're right about that. And even well, of course, with Aang and Katara's children, it's like, yeah,
Mm,
airbender, non-bender,
yeah.
waterbender.
Yeah.
So that's like all different as well. So you never know, but like the possibilities are definitely endless.
Oh, okay. So there's two excellent suggestions. So
Yeah.
Jordi says a film about the White Lotus Order.
Oh
That's
yes,
amazing.
the White Lotus Order.
Yeah.
Please, please, and thank you. Yes, give us that. I
Yeah.
I love how they tease that all the way through Atla. And
Yeah.
us like learning about it. The first time hearing about the White Lotus, it was just as this piece you used in
By
the
show.
game by show. Yeah,
By
exactly.
show is by show. Ooh.
Yeah, that Iroh is playing all the time
Mm,
while he's drinking tea, and then it just evolves into this secret society
mm-hmm.
who is just like it transcends the borders and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
nations, and
And then they come back at the end because in Avatar everything's thought out since the beginning, so it all comes back perfectly at the end. And
comes full
that's
circle,
yeah.
full circle.
My
And
favorite character in the White Lotus is Zhang, the firebending master.
he is so freaking powerful.
His episode in season one is one of my favorite season one episodes, the deserter.
Yeah, I'm sad that we didn't get to see more of him actually, because he's one of the
Mm.
few inside of that
And
in
his
the White
voice
Lotus.
actor
Yeah.
is he's amazing. Like some of his lines are iconic to me.
Yes, he put so much just gravitas into
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
every like line that he delivered,
mm,
and yeah,
mm-mm.
that episode really just it opened up, at least it started to show the viewer that firebenders aren't just these power hungry bad
Mhm.
guys who just
Mhm.
wants to rule the world. That's when we really got into more of the spiritual side of or what it means to be a firebender and wielding
Mhm. Mhm.
fire. Um, and that actually also goes to one of my favorite episodes, and I know one of Kat's favorite episodes, if not her favorite episode, the Firebending Masters.
Oof. Oof.
I would love to learn more about them
Amazing.
and
Yep.
that whole like
Yep.
society that they got to visit there and their
Mhm.
relationship with the sun and how they were looking at it
Mhm.
differently,
The
not as
dragons.
yeah, and not as
Oh
fire
wow.
as this like dangerous thing that you really
Yeah. Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to like it's fire isn't just destruction, it's also
Mhm.
life. I love that notion and I love how they
Mhm.
brought that back and like kind of turned it on its head.
Mhm.
And we got that look at it in Firebending Masters. That's an amazing episode.
Oh,
And
it's
then
yeah, top five for sure at least.
it
Yeah.
really is. And then bring in
Mhm.
dragon, like everything with
Mhm. Mhm.
dragons in any fantasy realm is always good and
Yeah.
popular.
Someone else said, I really want Vensko. I really want to see an avatar from the Earth Kingdom, and Earth is my favorite element, and I'd be so happy if we
Hmm?
could have an avatar whose main element is Earth, because it's my favorite in terms of like both the kind of the mindset of it for the
Hmm?
characters,
Yeah.
and in terms of the animation and how it looks. I think it's my favorite element personally. Yeah.
Yes. That's when I've always always noticed how every bender inside of the elements had their own distinct way of bending.
Mm-hmm.
But I really got up really started to notice it when we got introduced to Tough. I know
Mm,
she also has
yeah.
her little bit of a unique way of doing it.
Completely.
Compared
Yeah. There's no one else in this universe who bends the way she does. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that and yeah, of course, one of the bigger moments that we get later on
Mm-hmm.
when she starts to metal bend, and she's showing
Oof,
that she's
amazing.
the most powerful earthbender in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the voiceover from Guru Patik, another one. Okay, so that's another one of my favorite characters who I just wish was had so much more time. He's so
Yes.
fascinating.
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad you bring him up because
Mm,
he was one of my favorites as well, and I always found him so fascinating. And when Aang kind of left him in the middle of training and had a real like Empire Strikes Back moment there, it was just like no, like you-
mm,
I, I hope we come back to him, and I hope you go back and like finish your training or whatever. But
mm-hmm.
it never happened. And next time we saw him was just in one of those like weird visions when Aang
Oh
was
yeah, in
the fuck
the
out.
hallucinations.
Yeah, and getting ready, and he was
Yeah.
just floating around and offering onion and banana juice. So
Mm.
I would love to see more of him as well, and um, him not because he wasn't a bender at all. It
No, no,
seems
he
like
doesn't. No, I mean, unless he never revealed it. But
yeah,
as far as we know, that he's not a bender. No.
yeah, but was still so much into it and knew so
Mm.
much about it and was just the thought of him just waiting for the avatar to come
He's
back
always
so that
been
he can
waiting for Aang, like seemingly doing almost nothing, like actually just sitting on this place and just waiting, and he was fine with it.
yeah, and keeping alive and doing a good job
Mm-hmm.
of it. Because waiting
Mm.
for about 100 years, that's a
Yep.
long time to wait and just sit in one place and drink this weird juice. That's apparently it must be
Mm-hmm.
good. I don't know if I want to try mixing bananas and onions and putting like
I mean,
together.
he's a chakra master. He must be a very relaxed person.
Very relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, his outlook on life. It reminds me of yeah the air nomads and
Mm-hmm.
that's I still find that so goddamn fascinating. Just
Yep.
their outlook on everything in life. But yeah, do you have anything you wanna like close off with here with the Avatar Studios thing? I'm sure we can
No,
return to it.
I'm. I just want to say I'm optimistic. Whatever they come up with, I don't have. So I mean, I have not expectations, but I suppose wishes
Mm,
and preferences. But whatever they come up with, I'll be happy, and I want. I mean, I will try because I'm not sure if I can actually resist, but I'll try not to watch any trailers for whatever they come up with.
yeah,
But I'm very optimistic, and I don't expect them to top Avatar because I don't think it's possible. But
Nope.
I think it'll be just at least very good, if not excellent. And
Yeah.
whatever it is that they do, I'm just so happy that it even exists. Like so long, like 15 years after Avatar release, they finally like reached so much momentum that Nickelodeon told them, okay, you guys, you get your studio and just do whatever you want. And there's
Mm.
so many people who are behind you, and
Yeah.
so gonna be so happy to watch it.
Yes, just tell your stories. Tell your stories,
Yeah,
guys, and
yeah,
we're gonna be here for all of
mm-mm,
it, no matter
yep,
what it is, no matter
yep,
in which direction they choose to go.
mm-mm,
Then I'm sure like the Avatar fan base and the community is just gonna be
mm-mm.
behind them, excited about the whole thing.
I think there are
But
a lot of reactors on YouTube who must be very happy about the news because Avatar reactions do, I think, do pretty well, and I think it's gonna do even better now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's always something that just me personally is something that I go back and forth on because I know like yes, Avatar reactions are very popular. I know
Mm.
that our Avatar reactions, although like I love the reception that we got from the Adler reactions, but I also know that not as many people watch them as like maybe
Oh yeah,
like could have.
MCU.
Yeah, but also because we did the whole Vimeo thing where we put the link
Oh yeah,
there
yeah.
because I just couldn't get them out on YouTube. I think I might be able to do that now because I just know way more about how to edit
Mhm,
it in a way where
mhm,
I know what to look for and I know how
mhm.
to edit it in ways where the damn copyright thing won't hit me as
Yeah.
hard.
Mhm.
So I've been thinking about trying to at one point maybe re-upload some of our avatar reactions
Oof.
or start from scratch, but that's just going to
Mhm.
be a lot of work. So probably
That's a
just
huge project. Yep.
I'm probably just gonna leave it there and just
Mhm.
let them be as they are. But I just know
Mhm.
that because of the Vimeo thing and
Yeah,
because people,
there was probably some untapped potential if you could just have released them as the YouTube video, but
yeah, yeah, but it is what it is.
yeah,
I know
yeah.
like the channels. If you look like at big reaction channels like the Normies
Mhm.
or Blind
Oh,
Whale,
they have huge numbers on their avatar reactions, like up to the millions.
they do.
I think the normies on the finale have like 2 million views.
That's fucking insane. That's crazy.
That's huge. That's
That's so many people watching.
yeah.
And I know like yeah, cause
And these
with
people have really, I think, also participated in really opening up the show to a more mainstream audience because that
mm,
was before Netflix US released. There was like, I think Blendwave and Normies reacted like I don't know, like 4 years ago or something.
yeah, it was a
And
while back.
they got so much attention that that must have helped as well, like in some way.
Yeah, I'm sure that, or I know, or I'd like to think that yes, that's
Mm,
what some reaction channels can do
mm,
as well, is
yeah.
making people want to
Mm,
watch series that they maybe haven't considered watching
mm,
before and
mm,
go back, watch them, and then watch the reactions if there's some people that they really like. And I hope that maybe some people who watched our reactions felt the same way, or at least saw them when
That's
we.
Chloe. That's Chloe. Chloe's been
That's right. That's
uh,
right. Yeah, exactly. Like we have some people in the
Chloe's be,
community. Yes.
she's just finished Avatar actually, she said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That yeah, said in Discord that she was like, "I'm not crying, you're crying."
Mm,
But yeah, it's so emotional ending there.
mm.
But yeah, all right. Unless any of you guys watching, oh, thank you, Ofix. Sonny, you are measured by quality, not quantity. Thank you. Yes, that's also something to think of. Is amount of views doesn't necessarily matter at all, especially
Oh
not
no, of course.
on YouTube. It's more the people who watch and
Mm-hmm.
the community that you then get to hopefully create. And I'm just glad for everybody where like I'm
Mm-hmm.
so happy for the people or that we have the people who are in our community, people like you and everybody here in the chat and everybody watching that it really means a lot to know that like having people who want to support something and talk about all of this amazing entertainment with us. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole deal about making YouTube videos, be it reactions or reviews or discussions like we're doing, is just people coming together,
Mm-hmm.
talking about or re-experiencing or experiencing things that they love together.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in times like these where we can't really
Yeah, yeah.
meet up physically and
No,
do
not
it.
so much.
Not so much right now. So now it means more than ever. And I
Mm-hmm.
just think that yeah. Yeah, all right. So unless you guys in the chat and everybody watching, if you have anything else that you want to get into Avatar wise, just yeah, sound off in the chat or send in Streamlabs and Super Chats. You can do so with by following the link. There's a link down in the description, and then in YouTube, like Super Chat, there should be like an icon you can click with like a dollar sign on it or something. I actually don't really know too much. I just know I
Mhm.
activated it and that it should be working. And someone just did. Thank you so much. No comment, but I appreciate the support very, very much. All right, so that thing definitely works. Definitely, definitely. Um, but a lot of views equals a lot of krona. Not necessarily, not necessarily, or dollars or whatever. YouTube takes a very big bite of the cake when it comes to income. So it's more for me, for us, it's more a Patreon thing. But but all right, yeah, let's maybe start to move on. We do have a few other things that I put on the list that we can discuss. Some other news that's going on in the world of entertainment. And I don't like how much are you into the whole DC universe side of things and
DC
Superman?
specifically.
Yeah.
So I'm technically up to it because I guess I watched all of it, or
Hmm?
I didn't see just I don't think I saw Justice League, but I saw Man of Steel, Batman v Superman,
Hmm? Suicide Squad?
Suicide Squad, and all the new Batman movies and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
There's a
I
lot,
guess
yeah.
I'm almost up to date. Yeah,
Almost up to date. All right.
yeah.
There's a few of them that I haven't seen either.
Hmm.
And like I know a lot of people know about this, and we're not going to get into the whole like Marvel versus DC thing
Mm.
or like who's doing it better. But I think like it's you can't really argue that at least the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been more doing better like consistently.
Well, I mean,
And
yeah.
they've put out a lot of movies. Um, but DC, they're still doing their thing and getting into like doing some more different things and not it's not all just one big universe same as Marvel is doing it. And one of the
Hmm.
new things that seems to be happening is already rebooting some of these very very big known characters, and the one in particular that we're going to be talking about is the news about J.J. Abrams
Hmm.
rebooting Superman already
Hmm.
again. And
After like resetting from when Henry Cavill started
it
playing
seems like
Superman.
it seems like it. People were talking about, okay, so is it still Henry Cavill? So is it
Hmm.
basically going to be Man of Steel 2? Where are we going with this? But from what I've been able to find and read about, and what the rumors are saying right now is that no, it's probably not going to be Henry Cavill in the role as Superman. And maybe it's not even going to be like the Clark Kent Superman that we know, Kal-El. Um, but maybe not. But at least what they are considering at the moment, when it comes to casting wise, is someone like Michael B. Jordan. So that would
Hmm.
mean, at least specifically looking at a black Superman instead.
Hmm.
And I guess like to me personally, I know there are a lot of opinions about it out there, and I'm sure there are people who'll be like, no, keep Superman the way he is, and not necessarily gotta get into all that. But just to me personally, I don't know about you, it doesn't really matter to me what
No.
color, race, whatever you
Yeah.
want to say Superman is, because
I, don't-
he's an alien, first of all.
I don't think it was ever like a point in the Henry Cavill movies because he's not even from Earth, so like it doesn't
Ex- ex-
doesn't the concept of race doesn't really apply to Superman except that he's not from Earth. So.
yeah, yeah. It's just like the physical like his appearance.
Hmm.
That's like it's been one way for a long while, and I don't see any reason why they can't like change it up and try something new
Hmm.
when it
Hmm.
comes to that. Because as you said, it's not a big part of his character, the fact that
No.
he is white. Same as let's say,
Or American.
yeah, or American, exactly. Like he doesn't have to land in America
No.
necessarily. Like you can do a story where he lands somewhere else
No.
on Earth, and that might be something
Superman
that
from
we're getting
Peru.
into. Yeah, exactly. Someone from Peru, he could land in the Philippines. I don't know, like
Yeah.
anywhere in the world. And that might be something like that they're getting into here.
Mm.
I have a feeling it's probably still going to be American because it is, J.J.
I mean, it's
Abrams doing
he.
it, and it
If
is.
it's Michael B. Jordan, he's American, right?
Yeah, exactly. But he definitely has like the chiseled look about him in the
Oh
way that
yeah.
like
Yep.
he's a big
Yep.
guy and he's a
Yeah.
he's a handsome fella as
Mhm.
well. And
Mhm.
I loved his portrayal of um oh wow, his name escapes me. Killmonger in Black
Mhm.
Panther.
Yep.
I was
Yeah.
sad that we only got one movie with that guy, and I would
Mhm.
love to see him do something else in the world of superheroes. Besides, he was in the most recent Fantastic Four. I've heard. I haven't seen the movie because everybody said that it stinks, so shouldn't
The
watch it.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, the most recent
Oh
one.
yeah. Oh, the
I
most recent one I didn't see.
No, I didn't see that either. I
No.
don't think a lot of people necessarily did.
Mhm.
But yeah, someone like that. Hey, there's Chloe. um, but yeah, something like that. And I'm just more curious about. Okay, so why? I don't mind like seeing a new person going to play Superman. Like we already just like I think there's a new series, Superman and Lois or Clark Kent and Lois. I'm actually not quite sure what the name of it is, but like he's been played by different actors in the series at the same time as we've had Henry Cavill play him in movies. So you can go in different
So
ways.
you tell me if I'm wrong, because I didn't actually see the series myself, but I've seen the movie Watchmen,
Hmm?
and I think I saw a clip in the HBO series where Doctor Manhattan is played by a black guy. Is that correct, or am I
Nope,
misremembering?
that's
Yeah,
correct. Like he
yeah.
is actually played by
And
I
the
can't pronounce
so
his name. It's can't
yeah,
Abdul Ayada, something like that.
yeah.
I'm so sorry, I'm butchering his name, but he was really good.
And I saw a scene like from the series, and it looked kind of ridiculous to me. But just because he didn't have this godly aura that he has in the movie, where he's glowing and he doesn't even look like a human being. But
Mm, yeah,
like I think it's more about sometimes just like the actual special effects and how you handle the visuals of the character. And
yeah, and also like just the essence of the character.
yeah,
Then
because
it doesn't
Michael
really
B. Yeah,
matter.
it's like you said, Michael B. Jordan. He's clearly muscular. I mean, at least when he wants to for the roles where he needs to be.
Yeah,
So that's
definitely.
not going to be a barrier at all. And he's got the jaw for to be Superman and stuff.
Yeah.
So
He's got that look.
they could sell it very well. I think everyone would get over it pretty fast, honestly.
Yeah. Hopefully, like all
Mm,
the rage and stuff like that, it would die down. But that's also just the age that we live in right now with the
mhm,
internet. Everybody's got an opinion, and everybody
mhm,
got somewhere where they can voice that opinion, no matter what it is. So
mhm,
everybody want to give their 2 cents about it, and getting riled up in comments and forums and videos and all of that. Like there's always going to be some people who are against some decision, no matter what it.
mhm,
But I'm sure like if we get something good, and to me it's more about if we get like yeah a good movie, a good story, and it's directed well. It's you're saying like the visual effects, they're there, the music, the rest of the cast, what villain is he going to go up against? Like all of that matters so much.
mhm,
It's just like we've seen with like someone like we're also it's also in the DC side of things, but Batman, we've seen so many iterations of Batman
oh
over
yeah,
the
yeah,
recent years.
and the future new one as well.
Exactly, we're even getting a new Batman where
Mm.
just had Ben Affleck as Batman, and people don't really seem too mad about like. Yes, people enjoyed Ben Affleck as Batman, but don't
No,
seem
it's kind
to.
of fun when Batman changes like
Hmm?
the actor. Like everyone's excited to see what's the how the new guy's gonna do.
Yes, so why can't we do that with
Mm,
Superman? And just yeah, for yeah, just why not just change up who's playing him and playing his look and yeah, all of that. And then they can still do their DC EU, the universe where the movies are connected, because I'm sure they're going to continue on with that, and they're going to get into sort of a multiverse or different Earths kind of scenario with something called Flashpoint, just like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing with opening up the doors maybe to seeing previous iterations of characters that we've seen before, and we're going to get
Mhm.
into a little bit of that when we talk about Spider-Man 3. But that's at least just yeah, just giving people more content and more versions of characters that they know and love. And if there is some iteration of a character that you don't necessarily really like, or it's not for you, then there's another iteration of the
There's so
character,
many other to choose from.
yes, that you can watch. So there's something for everyone, like every little niche of
Mhm.
fandom, that there's something for people to get into.
Mhm.
So I'm at least cautiously optimistic about them rebooting Superman. I do feel bad for Henry Cavill if he doesn't get the chance to play
Yeah,
Superman again, because I thought he
yeah,
was
I
doing a
guess.
really good job.
Mhm.
I did like Man of Steel.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
I think it's one of the best ones in the DCEU still, and I yeah I was one of those people who was really excited about the Batman v Superman movie when it came out, or at least the build up to it. But I wasn't necessarily a big fan of the movie itself. I thought it was a bit of a letdown, and I thought that in particular the character of Superman took a real like backseat in that movie. And what was maybe supposed to be Man of Steel 2, it just became a Batman thing where yeah, Superman's there as well, but we're really just getting
Mhm.
ready for
Mhm.
Justice.
Yeah.
Um, and that's just what it felt like. So he still needs his second movie, I think, or
Mhm.
he still has something to prove. But
Mhm.
we are also getting the Zack Snyder version of Justice League very soon, the on HBO Max. I don't know. Do you have?
I've heard about this, but I honestly don't know exactly what this is about. I know that Justice League was considered to be a horrible movie, and I guess so. Zack Snyder edited his own version of the movie.
Yeah, because he was the guy who did Man of Steel, then he did Batman v Superman, and then he started doing Justice League. But I guess they got into a lot of creative differences, and then
Mhm.
a tragedy happened in his own personal life, unfortunately, and he kind of like stepped away from the project. They brought in a new director, Joss Whedon, who then changed up a lot of things and changed like the overall tone of the whole movie, and it made it way more light and comedic. And Zack Snyder, like he was getting ready to do like a 3 or 4 hour long Justice League movie, but the Joss Whedon version that we got in 2017, it got scaled back to about 2 hours.
Mhm.
So now Zack, by some miracle, got the chance to actually go back and finish his version of the movie
Mhm.
and even
Okay.
film some additional scenes. So we're getting like, yeah, I think it's actually gonna be a 4 hour movie on HBO Max. I don't. Do you have HBO Max in France?
No. No.
Oh, we don't.
I mean, maybe we have it. I don't have it personally.
Yeah,
But I think we do have a service that. That's why I watched Game of Thrones season 8.
yeah,
There's another service that kind of owns, I guess, HBO rights in France.
yeah. I think we have for us it's called HBO Nordic, and then like
Mm,
everything that has to do with HBO, be it like
okay.
normal HBO or HBO Max, I guess they put it under that thing.
Mm, hmm.
So I think that's how we're gonna get it. Like we haven't even gotten the newest Wonder Woman yet. I don't know if you have it
Oh
in
no,
France.
I haven't. I haven't seen. I wouldn't. I don't think I would watch it even if I could see it.
Fair enough, fair enough.
But yeah.
But yeah, so that's at least like we're gonna get to see him there again,
Mm-hmm,
Henry Cavill as
mm-hmm,
Superman, and he's probably gonna be a bigger part of Zack Snyder's version of Justice League compared to what he
mm-hmm,
was in Joss Whedon's version back in 2017, where he was a very minor part of it, and most of the scenes that he actually shot from the movie they took out, and then they shot some new scenes. I don't know if you heard about this back then, and then because Henry Cavill at the time, because they had to shoot new scenes with Superman back in 2017, at the time he was working on Mission Impossible, the fourth one, where he was sporting a mustache. and he couldn't shave it off for the
I did hear about this. Yep, and
yes,
they had to remove it in
y-
post. Yeah.
yeah, with CGI,
Mhm.
horrible CGI. It looked horrible. It was so weird. He had this weird CGI mouth, and it was just it did not look good at all. So it's probably a blessing that he wasn't that much in that movie. But we're gonna
Mm,
see him once again now, and I think that if this version of Justice with Zack Snyder at the helm again, if that becomes a big success, then we might get to see more of him again or in that universe because it's like money
mm.
talks, right? If many people are gonna
Oh yeah.
watch it,
Yep.
pay for it, be it in I don't think it's gonna no, it's not gonna come out in cinemas at all. But if many people subscribe to HBO and HBO Max, then maybe we'll see him.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, but what do you guys think? Are you excited about another reboot Superman with J.J. Abrams at the helm? I don't think he's going to direct it. He's probably just going to be a producer, which I think that's the smart idea.
Upo
Um,
said that the Man of Steel was his favorite DCU movie, which I don't think we'll fight him on because we like it too.
which one?
Man of Steel,
Hmm.
Upo, it's his favorite
Oh, Hubo.
DCU.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. We will always have that movie at least.
Hmm.
And that was a good starting off point. And I would love for Henry Cavill to get the chance again to continue, but we'll see. We'll see. I see someone asking where's Cat? Cat is busy, as usual with both of her jobs. And then Chloe saying, "I'm kind of tired of it all. Give me something new to watch." Yeah, thankfully there's also a lot of original
We're
IPs
gonna
out
give
there.
you all the Avatar stuff so that you're fine. You're
Yes,
doing fine.
yes. You have a lot of Avatar to dive into,
Yep.
Chloe. Thankfully. Um, fair enough. And then I see also Brace saying, "I'm personally 100% over Zack Snyder as a filmmaker. It's all style, no substance." Yeah, I've seen like his movies are
Mm.
very visually heavy, and there's
Hmm.
a lot going on, and maybe not always a lot of character and character development necessarily, but like they are pretty to look at. I tend to like it more when he's doing straight up adaptations, like you mentioned Watchmen. That was then the series you were referring to, but
Mm.
Zack Snyder did direct the adaptation of the Watchmen graphic novel, which I'm one of the people who really enjoyed that. Have you seen it?
The movie or
Yeah,
something else?
Watchmen, the movie.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, many times it's one of my favorite movies. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. I really enjoyed it. I think it came out. It's a while ago now. Was it 2008 or something? It came out,
I
I
guess
believe.
so. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it hasn't aged really.
No,
It's a great story and great visuals, and Doctor Manhattan is amazing. It's just spectacular.
really well made.
Mm.
It's still to this day. And there's also I'm sure you know about like the ultimate cut out there where they put in a lot of the deleted scenes and extra scenes and
Yeah,
even
that's the
coupled
one
it
I
with
watched. That's the one I
yeah.
watched. It's extremely long,
It's extremely long, but
and it's worth it. It's worth it.
worth it. It's the superior
Mhm.
movie compared to
Mhm.
the theatrical
Mhm.
version, I would say. Same as with Lord of the Rings, like the extended versions are just once you've watched them, you can't go back to
Mhm.
the other stuff. So oh, I see someone asking, how do I send you a PS5? If you have a PS5 you want to send me, then uh, send a message to me on on or send us something. I don't know if you're a Patreon or where you are, but send us. Let's talk about it off the stream maybe. That would definitely be awesome. I would. We don't have a PO box. Haven't really because it's so expensive and there are a lot of things that we have to like make ready or like financially and stuff have to do here in Denmark to be able to actually get one and pay for one
Mhm.
and one that's near us because it's not something that's like a popular thing or widespread thing here in Denmark. But um, but yeah, hit me up on like whatever it is. Send us something on Instagram or Facebook, whatever. Um, and then I'm sure we can talk about it. Sounds wild. But all right. Unless you guys have anything else that you want us to get into about the whole J.J. Abrams rebooting Superman thing, we are gonna get into quickly another franchise, another superhero thing, because we also got some news there with Spider-Man 3. We have a title. It's called No Way Home. So it fits with the first one being Homecoming, and then it was Far From Home, and now it's No Way Home. So they're definitely sticking to that whole like just using the home thing. And they were putting out a lot, like they were teasing a lot of titles for the movie, a lot of fake titles. I don't know if you noticed that.
No.
One of them being like Phone Home, which was like that. No, that can't be it. Like, what are they gonna do a crossover with ET now? What the hell? But no, they were just having fun with it. But now we got the real title, No Way Home, and that's also one of the things or a part of these superhero movies where they're gonna open it up and do the whole multiverse thing and bring in past iterations of Spider-Man. So we are
Wait.
probably gonna get the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in this one, and the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man are gonna come in, and some of the older villains. That's crazy. The
Yeah,
thought of that.
that's gonna be too much for me. I don't think I'll be able to understand everything that's going on. I think I'll probably watch it because I like the entertainment, but
Yeah.
it's getting to the point where I'm not hardcore enough into MCU to actually understand everything that's going on.
Yes. Yes. It's a little bit it gets to be a little bit inside baseball in a way where it's
Mm-hmm.
it's just the references and the Easter eggs, and it's like there's so many movies to catch up on, and they're really gonna
Mm,
have to make it in such a way that it's also still accessible to the casual
mm,
viewer, where they won't be just lost all the fucking time. I think like a good example of a movie where a lot is happening, also a Spider-Man movie where they bring in a lot of different Spider-Man, and there's also some references to some Spider-Man stuff that we've had before, is the Into the Spider-Verse, the animated one. Have you seen that one, Will?
I've not. Okay. I know I have to see it. I just haven't yet. But I know everyone says it's such an amazing animated movie and like maybe one of the best ones ever. I know I have to see it, and I will watch it.
Definitely. I think it's the best Spider-Man
Yeah.
movie
Yeah.
so far, because it really just the pacing in it and the animation as well. Just talking
Mm,
about good animation, like they really did something special with that one, and then bringing in a lot of different iterations of Spider-Man and just having a story that was like going in directions that you never really knew where it was going. It kept you guessing, and it also introduced to a lot of people a different Spider-Man that wasn't Peter Parker as the main
hmm.
guy, Miles Morales, and I'm just waiting for them to include that version of Spider-Man in the MCU as well,
Oh,
but
so
I'm
that's
sure that's coming.
the character in the PS5 game, isn't it?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Oh,
They
okay.
they did that. That's it's not its own game. It's more of an expansion to the
Mm,
PS
okay.
4. I
Yeah.
I think I think I haven't
Hmm.
played the PS4 slash PS5
Hmm.
Spider-Man game yet. I would love to play it at some point because I hear it's really a good story and a good
Hmm.
game, good gameplay. Um, so yeah, it's but as Cass is saying in the comments, that I also think that all of the old Spider-Man and some of the characters that we have seen before, they're not necessarily gonna be like main characters in the movie. It's more gonna be small cameos, and
Hmm.
we're hopefully still gonna be able to focus on Tom Holland's Spider-Man,
Yeah.
who's the Spider-Man
I
in the
mean, it
MCU.
just makes more sense because that's who everyone really cares about. Is who they've been following since his first movie. And what's his first appearance? Like, is it Civil War?
It's Civil War, yeah. That's when they
Okay.
brought him in the first time,
Yeah.
and we got introduced to him in the MCU, and we haven't
Mm,
really he hasn't really gotten necessarily like his like a movie that focuses 100% just on him, because like his
mm,
first as you said, yeah, his first appearance was in Civil War with so many other superheroes, and then we had Homecoming, where Iron Man was also a big part of it, and it was still linked to a lot of the MCU. And then we had Far From Home, where they put in like Nick Fury and all still a lot of MCU connections. And the villain Mysterio had a big role in that. And now the third one is gonna have also a lot of characters in it besides the main character. So maybe at one point he's gonna get a movie where it's like more or less focused on him, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's gonna be good, no
Yeah.
matter. So yeah, I'm just excited. No matter what direction they take it in.
Mm-hmm.
And Cass is also saying, yeah, Into the Spider-Verse, best Spider-Man content we've ever had, in my opinion. I think a lot of people like, agree with that. So yeah, you're gonna have to watch that at some point, Sweel.
Yeah, I know. I will.
But there's also so much to watch, like
Yeah,
so much
also.
content.
Yeah.
It's difficult to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
So much awesome stuff, which is also a good thing.
You have to make your choices.
Yes, you have to pick and choose.
Mm.
Like
Yep.
yeah, with all the content out there, with all the series, all the movies, all the
Mm-hmm.
cinematic universes that are being created, it's like, yeah, you have to pick and choose. Um, but segueing into the next thing, something that I am definitely going to choose to watch is the next Star Wars series coming up, Star Wars: The Bad Batch, which debuts on May the 4th, which that's Star Wars Day, pretty much. And yeah, it's the pun on May the 4th be with
Yep.
you. And that's a direct continuation of the animated series, The Clone Wars. So more
Mm-hmm.
animated stuff. Have you seen anything from that side of the Star Wars
No,
universe?
I've only seen. I think I've seen all the movies except maybe one or two from the most recent ones. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a Han Solo one that I haven't seen.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen The Last Jedi. But I've really only seen the movies. I know that the Clone Wars are kind of like Avatar, like they're regarded very highly, generally speaking.
it is. It is.
Uh, yeah, but I don't know exactly what they're about, or yeah, I haven't seen them myself.
Yeah, but what I can just quickly say is, at least with the Clone Wars, it was this time period between episodes 2 and 3 where the Clone Wars happened, this big galaxy-wide war between the Republic and the Separatists. And someone like I mentioned him earlier, Dave Filoni, who worked on the first season of Atla, he got picked up by Lucasfilm to do the Clone Wars
Well, that's cool.
and start that series over there because they
Okay.
really, really, really loved what he was doing
Yeah.
on Atla, and he was always talking about Star Wars while he was doing Atla, and I definitely see those connections and
Mm-hmm.
I see those references
Mm.
in Atla from Star Wars. And there's actually a funny story going with it where he was talking about it so much, and people were starting to just joke around with it a little bit because he was just the guy who would never shut up about Star Wars, even though he was working on this other project. And then when he actually got the call from Lucasfilm and them asking him to, like, do you want to come and talk to us about doing something, doing another animated series with us? He thought it was a prank at first, and he was like, "Oh, you guys!" Like he thought it was some people from
Yeah.
his from like the
From his
Atla,
work, from
yeah,
Atla.
from Atla, just taking the piss. So he he treated it like that, but ultimately ended up realizing that, oh shit, oh, like this is for real. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I'm interested. And then they kind of picked him up
And
from
then he
that.
got a huge role because I'm the same with Mandalorian. I haven't watched all of it, but
Mhm.
hasn't he directed a lot of Mandalorian stuff?
He's one of the like the creative forces behind
Mm, okay.
the Mandalorian as well. He's directed I think three or episodes in total, I think, of The Mandalorian. But he's like, it's him and Jon Favreau doing it together, like being the showrunner.
Mm,
And he is essentially George Lucas' Padawan. Like
mm,
he learned everything from George. And George Lucas was actually a big part of Clone Wars as well, coming up with a lot of ideas behind it. Um, with like ideas for episodes and episode arcs. So him and Dave Filoni worked very closely together, and I think that's also why Dave Filoni is very highly regarded inside of the Star Wars fan base as kind of the like the new George Lucas, and people really trust him with the Star Wars universe, and
Mhm.
especially proved it with the animated stuff. That is like some of the stuff in Clone Wars, I think, is right up there with some of the stuff in Avatar, with
Okay.
character development and animation, and
Mhm.
just how deep it goes and how accessible it is to people who are not just children. Like there definitely are some story arcs and episodes, especially in the earlier seasons, that are more geared towards kids and very kid friendly, especially with some of the droids and stuff. But there's also these very dark storylines where you get into something like something ominous, like the face stealer from Atla, like
Mm.
that vibe, that feel of
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Yeah. So can you get into it if you're not a big Star Wars person or?
Very, I think so, definitely,
Yeah.
very much, because they introduce a lot of new characters and they explain a lot of stuff, and it's
Mm.
really after the first like episode 2 and 1 of Star Wars, well, 1 and 2, I should say, and you still have like core characters like Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi that people know about. Then
Mhm.
they introduce new characters and new ideas inside of Clone Wars, and also in the animated series that then followed Clone Wars, that was called Rebels, that was closer to the original trilogy. So it's just playing around in that universe a lot, and just showing us things that we didn't necessarily know that we wanted or needed, and
Mhm.
it gives new meaning to some of the movies that we've already seen. And that's actually what I kind of hope that's going to happen with Avatar Studios,
Yeah.
is that some of the stuff they're going to create there is
Mm.
even gonna
That you didn't even know you needed, but now that you get it, it's amazing.
exactly expanding the
Yeah.
universe in such a
Yeah.
way that it's even gonna add things to what was there before.
Mm.
And that's what some of the animated Star Wars series has
Mhm.
done. And the Bad Batch in particular is about this group of clone troopers that we got introduced to in season 7 of Clone Wars. This like highly trained, very unique batch of clones. And then it's gonna follow them in what happened like after the Clone Wars and after the Empire took over and we got Darth Vader and all of that. So I'm at least curious to see what that's gonna be. I know there's a character from Mandalorian that's also gonna be in that animated series. A character called Fennec Shan, who was with Boba Fett at one point.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's I'm really excited about it
Yeah, I
though.
mean, it's clearly a very exciting time for Star Wars fans, and
Yeah.
they're getting so much very high quality content.
Yes.
Like there's so much to be, because I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I can tell just from reaction people and
Mm.
Discord, even just the Discord server, that people who are big Star Wars fan are they're just having a good time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things again where there's something for everyone. If you don't like
Hmm. Hmm.
one particular Star Wars series, then
You
there
because you
are.
have movies, you have live action series, you have animated Clone Wars, and
Mm,
all this new stuff to pick from, and
yeah,
that's I think
games
that's
and
great because
books and yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so much new stuff
Hmm.
that they're making, and just having just the popularity of streaming services at least has just
Hmm.
opened the doors to
Yeah.
so many things, and it's making it a possibility for us to get Star Wars television series, and
Hmm.
now also Avatar Studios, and just like everything with the like WandaVision we talked about. Or
Hmm.
we actually haven't really talked about WandaVision.
Nope.
That's usually something I start with. I just
Mm.
totally forgot about it, but we
We
can we
went
can
straight to Avatar.
we went straight. We were just too excited.
Yeah.
We just wanted to talk about
Yeah.
Avatar, but we can still like we can maybe end it today with WandaVision, and then the people who haven't seen it, then they can just yeah, I don't want to say leave the stream. That sounds harsh, but if they don't want to listen to spoilers, but yeah, just so many possibilities in all universes, which is something that I really like. And yeah, people are already like yeah discussing Clone Wars and some of that stuff in the comments,
Mhm.
how they enjoy it. So yeah, that's Bad Batch. Looking forward to that, and that's something that I am gonna be watching on the channel,
Mm-hmm.
of course, since it is Star Wars, and
Yeah,
your dad
because you,
might
I
join me.
think everyone, I think you're mostly recognized as a Star Wars person, like even above MCU, as far as I can tell, in terms of your audience on YouTube.
It
I
seems
think,
like it, yeah.
yeah,
That's at least like well, yeah, with the last episode of The Mandalorian that we
yeah,
watched and our reaction, it's getting close to about 300,000 views, which is just
well,
crazy in my mind
it's huge. Yeah,
that we got there with some of the stuff, and it quickly just went past some of the Game of Thrones and Chernobyl react
mm,
that have like been on top ever since. But now,
yeah,
yeah, Star Wars Mandalorian, it surpassed it.
it's
So
catching up.
it's catching up. It's catching up. Um, yeah, so I'm excited about it. Gonna be watching it. Gonna be watching it probably with Major Dad. He's gonna be
Mm,
joining me because he's the reason why I got into Star Wars, so he can talk about it as well for many hours. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Okay, moving on from the Bad Batch, and once again, if you guys want us to just want to mention anything, or if you have a question about any of the news stories that we have been talking about, then you can submit it through Streamlabs and SuperChat, also just in the normal chat. It all helps a lot. And with Streamlabs and SuperChat, you can throw in a little donation, which helps this channel just grow and it keeps us afloat. And yeah, it is my day-to-day job. So you will essentially be helping me stay alive also, which is a nice thing.
that's good.
That's good. Yes, that's very
Mm-hmm.
good. I like staying alive.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to the final thing on the docket here, besides the WandaVision thing that we're gonna get into at the very end, and it's just like a small thing that I saw. It actually has to do with your it has to do with what we talked about, or a person we already mentioned, Henry Cavill.
Mm-hmm.
He put out a picture on Instagram, I think it was, where he was sitting and getting ready for something. I think he was in a makeup chair, and then he was reading something, like at least holding a piece of paper like close to the camera, where he kind of blurred the text.
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't see on the actual picture what it was about, but just the caption on the picture, which is saying something akin to something exciting, new and exciting that I'm working on. And most people first was like, yeah, it's probably just The Witcher season two because he's playing Geralt in the Witcher
Mm-hmm.
series. But then someone went in and like one of these internet wizards who went in and like was able to make sense of what was on that very blurred paper and kind of like
Mm-hmm.
de-blur it, I guess.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of Mass Effect names and
Woo.
words on it. So what the hell does that mean? Is it just him just teasing us or having fun, or is it a
It
joke?
would make a lot of sense to have a Mass Effect production, like whether it's a movie or a series, because
Yeah, I
I mean, I guess because I do not watch The Expanse, but I know it's very popular and it's very highly regarded. And maybe it's proven to some studios that you can make shows about stuff in space and it's still cool and it's not a thing of the past.
definitely not. It could be something like Kat and I. We always compare The Expanse a lot to Mass Effect because we both
Mm,
really love the Mass Effect
yeah.
games. A lot of similar themes and sci-fi fantasy tropes inside of both Mass Effect and the So, and I've always wanted to see something like either a movie or a movie trilogy or a series that takes place inside of the Mass Effect universe, because
Mm-hmm.
that's a very big and well thought out universe
Oh yeah.
with many different aliens and characters and world building and a lot of
Hmm.
history inside of that as well. There's
So
books, yeah.
I've played Mass Effect 3 and Andromeda. I
Mhm.
didn't play the first two ones because during the PS4 gen,
Mm.
I was like, surely they're gonna make a remake of the trilogy, so I don't have to play it on PS3 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turned out that the remakes skipped an entire generation, so I just had to wait like 12 years to. And this year I'm gonna play it for sure on PC, the
Yes,
entire
yes.
trilogy, because I haven't played 1 and 2,
They
because I
are
was expecting to just play them on PS4 and they just never came on PS4. So I'll play them this year.
they are pretty amazing, the games,
Yeah.
and I'm actually looking forward to the remastered versions as
Mm-hmm.
well, and probably gonna play them over on Twitch, even though I've played
Mm-hmm.
all three games many, many, many times, and I
Yeah.
know them inside and out. But I'm just curious to see
They're
what
just
sort of
great games.
upgrades.
They're
Yeah,
super great gameplay. I love the pose like system that for some reason they removed in Andromeda,
yeah,
and
that was weird.
that was
Andromeda was
strange.
a bit of
Yep.
a step down.
It had AI driven like allies, and it was
Yeah,
kind of a mess and not nearly as interesting.
yeah, it was not the same. It was really not the same,
Mm-hmm.
like with the squads, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of controversy about like the animation there to start with, and the facial animations was just looking all fucking weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now they might be doing another game, and at least they're doing the remastered version, so people can get a chance
Yeah.
to get into those games.
Because the world itself is amazing. I mean, that's the Andromeda is one thing, but that doesn't change how much effort it has been put already into the stories and the characters and really this entire universe.
No, yeah, it's something like when I was really into Mass Effect, it was like almost rivaling Star Wars for me. As a,
Mm-hmm.
I was so much into it. I
Yeah.
loved it so much. I was still disappointed about the ending of Mass Effect 3, but
Mm-hmm.
that's just what it is. It's about the
Mm-hmm.
journey, not the destination, and
Mm-hmm.
the journey through all those three games was just freaking amazing. And I can't wait for people to experience 1, 2, and 3 together and creating a character in the first game and having all of your decisions carry over
Mm-hmm.
through all of the games. Like I
Mm-hmm.
haven't do that yet. Like I started playing the second game because at first it didn't come out on PlayStation. It
On
came out
PS4. Yep.
on
PlayStation.
it came out
Xbox.
on PC and Xbox
Oh,
first.
on PC. Okay.
Yeah, and then it came out on PS3, and I played it there, and then there was this
Mm-hmm.
kind of like
Mm-hmm.
intro at first, this like comic version where you kind of just made a lot of quick decisions from the
Yeah,
first
I
game,
remember that.
and
I remember doing that in 3 as well.
they just ramble
Mm-hmm.
through it. But then I played that, and then I knew the third one was coming, so I went back and played the first one on PC instead. And then I played the third one when that one came out. So it was like I never got to play it in the right order, so to say, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
experience it like that as one continuous journey with the same character model and the same decisions
Mm-hmm.
all the way
Mm-hmm.
through.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to like hearing about other people experiencing all three games for the first time. And then maybe that's gonna reinvigorate the entire franchise.
Probably. Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting back on track with Henry Cavill, is he then gonna be involved in another adaptation of? I know The Witcher is not necessarily an adaptation of a game; it's more the books that they're adapting. But people
Mm.
know The Witcher more from um, the Witcher games, so he's gonna
Mm.
be involved in another thing like that. Is he
He's
gonna?
the new video game guy.
He
Yep.
just
He's
is. He
just.
just is. That could be interesting. I don't know if I want to necessarily see him play Shepard,
Yeah.
because I am of the mind that maybe they shouldn't go with male Shepard. I think they should
Mhm.
actually go with fem Shep instead,
Mhm.
because we already have a lot of male leads in a lot of these series and stuff. So
Mhm.
and in the games, people were a lot of the like the hardcore Mass Effect fans were agreeing that the fem Shep or the female version of Shepard was superior to the male version, at
Yeah.
least when it came to the voice acting and stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I know Kat is very passionate about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I played in my Mass Effect 3 run on PS3. I had, I think, default male Shepard. So I think I even played it in French probably, so it doesn't really apply to what I did. But on the remasters, I mean, I don't know what I'll pick, but I think I'll just base my opinion on like what people say has the best voice acting, because I think it really comes down to that in terms of video games at least.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
you're gonna be stuck with this voice actor for hundreds of hours, so it's pretty good. Yeah, pretty good choice to make.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, already alluded to that. Yep. I think Kat actually said earlier today that if they don't do femship, if they don't pick the
Mm.
female, she's just like forget about it. I'm not even gonna watch that shit. Like
Okay.
she's so passionate about it should be the female version.
Yeah.
Because she just that's one of her absolute favorite characters. Like
Hmm.
across any entertainment medium of all time is the female version of Shepard. So
Hmm.
I know she's passionate about it. A lot of other people are passionate about it. But it's interesting the prospect that that might happen, and
Mm.
someone as big as Henry Cavill might be involved in it in some way, shape, or form. Like no matter what character he's gonna play,
Hmm.
or maybe it's not actually a TV like or television series. Maybe he's gonna voice a new character in a new Mass
Oh
Effect
yeah,
game.
yeah.
Like maybe like
That actually makes sense because they did, and I think it's official that they have a new game besides the remasters going.
yes, they do, they do. And it seems like it's gonna be some sort of a continuation of like the core Mass Effect trilogy, and we're gonna
Hmm.
get some of the old characters back. Maybe even Shepard, even though I have no
Mm.
idea how they're gonna continue on from the ending that we got in Mass Effect 3 and the whole like choose your ending thing. It really depends on what ending you chose. So
Hmm.
which one are they gonna go with? And I don't know. That's at least yeah, that's at least very
Hmm.
interesting. Like no matter what they
Yep.
choose to do, I'm just excited about it. And I see we got a StreamLabs, no, not a StreamLabs, a super chat that's popping up on screen now from the Fairy Prince. Thank you so much. This is like ASMR. Love this channel. Oh, just listening to our voices, or
I love you more, the Fairy Prince. Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much. Like really appreciate it, and love that you love the channel. That's
Hmm.
that means a lot. That means so much. All right. Anything else that you guys want to mention about like yeah, Mass Effect or this Henry Cavill rumor of Mass Effect? Please sound off in the chat or with the Streamlabs and Super Chats. I think we're gonna make our way to like the final subject, the
Hmm.
final topic, I should rather say, which is what I usually start these things with, but we were just too eager to get into the whole Avatar Studios side of things. So let's talk about this week's episode of WandaVision. And this is a quick spoiler warning for all the people watching. If you aren't caught up yet with WandaVision, haven't seen the latest episode, then probably mute or get out now while you still can. I am going to put a little spoiler warning on the screen in a few seconds, so at least you can see when we're talking about it, and then I'm probably going to remove it at the very end when we kind of round the whole thing off. But for now, I'm going to put it up, and we are going to get into just a little bit of what happened this week on WandaVision. There we go. Spoilers.
And I'll give context for everyone listening that I'm the noob guy in MCU, and even more so in WandaVision. So I'm gonna ask questions and make mistakes, and it's gonna be triggering. So you have to be very indulgent of what I'm gonna say.
Fair enough, fair enough. It's always like nice to I think when you're talking about anything entertainment wise and especially some of this very geeky stuff that it's nice to have people who know something about it, but also really nice to get an opinion from people who are more casual viewers
Hmm.
and watch it more from a distance and maybe aren't as like really like invested in it in such a
Hmm.
way where it has to be in a certain like people can get very passionate about some of this stuff where if it doesn't go a certain way or if their
Hmm.
expectations aren't met then it can become toxic almost. So it's nice just keeping it casual, I think. But anyway, like how did you like this week's episode?
I was very impressed first of all
Mhm.
because as I said, so I'm not a big WandaVision person, and so I watched the previous one from last week and this one,
Yeah.
and the first impression is that it's so impressive, like how much effort is clearly put into it into the 30 minutes of every episode. And the even I think it's the first scene where she's like being there's some the witches are putting some kind of spell to destroy her or something.
Yes, yes, some
And
really
I
interesting
thought
stuff.
it was very dark because there's this shot on the witches where they're like edged up, and it was kind of disturbing actually in terms as far as MCU goes.
Yeah, almost like it looked like she just sucked the life force out of them, and they
Yeah,
just
yeah, that's
became
yeah.
like all like skeletal to look
Mm-hmm.
at. And I even said it during the reaction, like, "Whoa, okay, that's brutal." That was a
Yeah.
very brutal start to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like sometimes even the MCU are just pushing that PG-13 rating as far as they
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
without it getting like too horror-like or too R-rated like. But I really enjoyed that intro and getting to know more about like okay witches inside of the MCU and Agatha Harkness. How did it start? And going all the way back to the Salem witch trials in 1693 is the year that they went back to specifically. That's at least that's some of like one of the things in the MCU where we have gone the furthest back chronologically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, starting with that was really cool. I see we have a few new StreamLabs or SuperChats. Sorry, I keep saying StreamLabs, but these are SuperChats. One more from the Fairy Prince before. One more because I gotta go. I haven't seen WandaVision yet. LOL. Fair enough.
Oh, okay.
Got out while you still could. That's
Bye bye,
don't
Fairy Prince. Thanks
don't
for
don't
coming.
don't want you to get spoiled. Not at all. But yeah, thank you for coming and thank you so much for the support. And then we have one from Stu Pew Pew. How do you feel about traditional witches in the MCU, and where were they in Endgame? But yeah, where were they through everything that happened in the
Mm.
MCU? Why haven't we seen witches and this kind of magic?
Is it possible? Because you have to tell me. Is it possible that they just don't exist in the modern times anymore,
It
and
is
only very few of them like
remain, yeah.
survived? Yeah.
That's my theory actually, at least,
Mm-hmm.
is that she managed back then, and that's what they showed us, that what we saw, that this covenant of witches got wiped out by one of their own.
Mm.
And even the person she called mother, I'm not sure if it was her actual mother or if it was.
I understood it more as within the organization.
Yeah,
That's her title.
that I think you're right about that. It's more of
Mm-hmm.
like the head of that organization, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
as you called it, of witches, where she's the mother of all of them in a sense. But yeah, maybe Agatha just wiped him out, and she's just been doing her own thing and not really
Mm-hmm.
interfering with everything else going on, and just gathering knowledge and gathering power. And that's also something we learned in this episode is like she was almost, it almost felt like she was jealous at Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, you can do all of these crazy things on a whim, like magic on autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Yeah. How
haven't
do you
even
do it?
practiced. You have,
Yeah.
how did you do it? Like I've
Mm-hmm.
spent
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of years
Because
learning
she's
this
very
shit.
powerful. She's not like beginner witch being impressed. No, she's also extremely powerful.
Yeah, and so that's like how in the actual fuck did Wanda do that? And then we got to learn through the episode, and that's what Agatha was interested in. And I loved going back to places in Wanda's life that we necessarily like haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, stuff that we may like we knew about some of the stuff, and we knew about that she lost her parents and all that, but it was still showing us things that we hadn't seen like visually on screen before.
Yeah.
And and yeah, so that was just something that I didn't know they were gonna get into, but I was happy that they did. And then yeah, getting some scenes that was quite emotional. And that's at least like we teared up watching it. And
I'm not a big expert on like Vision. I know what happened to Vision
hmm?
in the Avengers movies, but as I said, I'm not too much of an expert, but his scenes in WandaVision that I've seen, I'm very impressed with the actor actually, because he really pulls off the humanity in the robot entity that he plays,
Yeah,
and his scenes are really a standout for me as far as dialogue and acting goes.
really, really does. Especially that
Mm-hmm.
conversation they had. Bet. I thought that was just excellent acting there, and the like
Mm-hmm.
the delivery from both of them, and that beautiful, beautiful line Vision then said. What is grief if not love persevering? That's just yeah, such a beautiful thought,
Mm-hmm.
and really well written. And yeah, Paul Bettany is the guy who plays Vision, and
Okay.
he's doing such a good job. Both him and
Yep.
Elizabeth Olsen and Catherine Hahn, who's playing
Mm-hmm.
Agatha. I think it's amazing what they've been able to do with these characters throughout the course of this series,
Mm.
and it was really on full display in this series, or in this episode, I should say. Bum bum. I think we got another stream. Oh, once again I'm saying StreamLabs. It's a super chat. This is relating to Avatar. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a spoiler, so I kind of wish you hadn't said that. But thank you so much for the support. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate the support. We haven't gotten to season 3 and 4 of The Legend of Korra yet, so we want to keep that like not in the conversation. We want to keep it out for the moment being. But yeah, once again, I really
I
appreciate
got
the
I got
support.
roasted in chat by M. I went to the this guy casually went to the bathroom with his no. I'm still in the same place. I just had to place my laptop so that I could charge it again.
Oh yeah, yeah. We don't want it
Uh,
to run out of juice. Yeah. No, no. Not going to the bathroom.
I
That would be
promise.
something. Then we would really get into the
Yeah.
ASMR of things if that happened. But yeah, it's WandaVision just shows us, I think, what can be done with stretching out some story and very character-driven stories inside of
Hmm.
something as big and usually like blockbuster-like as
Mm.
the MCU, and with these
Yeah.
characters that we've only seen in one way before and being very serious in the movies,
Mm.
and then had so much to play around with in this series.
Mm.
And you mentioned also like the production of it, the production value,
Yeah. You can tell that there's so much going on.
really,
Yeah.
really, so much money being thrown into this whole thing, and but it's not in a way where it's just explosions and explosions and crazy
Mm-mm.
effects all the time. There are a lot of crazy effects, and especially towards the end when
Mm.
she
Oh
kind of
yeah.
just burst, like all of the energy
Mm-mm.
burst out of her, and she created her reality and
The
created
illusion. Yeah.
Vision. Yeah, and
Very
yeah,
well made, and it's really flawless execution as far as special effects.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. One thing that I didn't get to actually talk about or mention during Kat and I's reaction was the very last scene, the post-credit scene
Hmm.
with um, director Hayward, where he revealed that he was actually able to revive some version of Vision.
Hmm.
This, like, yeah, white
So
Vision.
there's a part of the episode that I didn't completely understand. Maybe you can explain to me,
Hmm.
where Wanda's coming in this kind of lab,
Hmm.
in the with the doctor, and she breaks the glass and goes up to Vision's body, and I don't really understand like what was everyone thinking that she was gonna do. Like it's kind of obvious that she's extremely powerful and she's gonna get close to Vision. So
Yeah,
like is that supposed to be part of the plan or? Uh,
I think so from Hayward's side, and that was kind of like him puppeteering the events a little bit because he was
mm,
interested in, and that's also what leads into the post-credit scene that he wanted to be able to reactivate this weapon, which is that's all he saw Vision as was just a weapon and not as a person
mm-hmm.
as
Yeah.
Wanda really saw him as. So him showing her that and mentioning that you might be able to bring him back and putting those seeds in there
Mm,
somehow, and even like it seems like he was willing to let her take Vision, which is something
Mhm.
that he said early on in the series. He actually told people that she did that, that she took Vision's body and stole Vision's body from Sword headquarters, and that's how she was able to resurrect him. But no, that was just a lie from his side, and he even showed some security footage that was kind of like some of what we saw in the episode where she broke the glass and flew down there,
Mhm.
but then he kind of manipulated it in a way where it looked like she stole Vision's body,
Mhm.
which ultimately she didn't. And that's what everybody was kind of expecting from that scene was, okay, she's going to take his body now, and then she's going to take the body with her, and that's how she's going to be able to
So she
resurrect him.
really just recreated the entire, I mean, Vision, because there's this scene where it's as if she's creating like the actual wires and all the components for Vision to exist, but it's really just all part of the illusion, I guess.
Yeah, or like how exactly does that work? I think that's still something that's
Mm.
up in the air. There's still a question is
How many episodes are actually remaining, by the way?
of Vision.
Of WandaVision.
Oh,
Like, is there one more episode
one
or?
oh yeah, one more episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So they're gonna have to wrap it all up next week.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
know how long that episode is going to be, but there's a lot to wrap up.
Mhm.
And a lot of questions like what you just asked with how does it work with her creating Vision from scratch, and you could even see like
Yep.
her magic and everything, like how she transformed the town. That was red magic, that chaos
Mhm.
magic thing that they also mentioned in the end. But what the visual representation of what created Vision, that was yellow, and that's the same
Yep. Yep.
color as the Mind Stone, which
Mhm.
like that Infinity Stone that we also saw her interact with in the episode, where she touched it when she was like in one of those flashback thingies when they were
Mhm.
going
Mhm.
through the past, and she touched it and saw also a, for lack of a better word, a vision of the Scarlet Witch. Um, which is it some sort of entity, or is it just the future version of herself? And if it is just
Mhm.
her it's referring to, then how did Agatha know about it? Because she mentioned it in the end that Scarlet Witch has been this mythical being for a
Mhm.
long while. So has it always been there, or is it because Agatha has seen a vision of the truth, not truth,
Mhm.
the future? It's just, yeah, my mind is spinning just
Yeah,
thinking
they
about
they're
it.
gonna have a lot to wrap up next week, and I'm sure all the MCU theory people on YouTube are gonna have fun with it because there's
Yeah.
clearly. I mean, I can tell even though I'm not following it closely that there's a lot of talk about this and
Mm.
a lot of speculation, and there's so much material to cover.
So much material,
Mm,
and I've seen like breakdown videos and discussions from like each episode of WandaVision that are
mm,
hour long, 2 hour long videos people putting up about all the Easter eggs and all the possibilities. So like I'm sure we could keep going about that as well. But what
mm.
about you guys out there? Like how are you enjoying WandaVision so far? And this episode in particular. Like I think like for me personally, it was one of like my favorite episodes of the entire season. Um, just because it answered some stuff and it really got into some MCU specific things that I personally I'm really into and that I sort of care about. And it seems like also like yeah, more casual fans like you
Mm.
enjoyed it a lot. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just curious to hear about like here at the end of the stream, if you guys have anything else you wanna talk about with that, or any yeah anything relating to WandaVision or any of the other stuff that we've talked about just here at the very end. If you want to put in a question or a comment in the chat through StreamLabs,
So
SuperChat, yeah.
True Targaryen just said, I think Hayward was hoping Wanda was going to resurrect Vision, but she just couldn't,
Hmm?
and so that's why he let him. Obviously, it was so obvious that she was going to do something, and that's probably why he allowed it to happen.
Yeah, but then she said the line like I can't feel you when she tried to
Mm-hmm.
do something to the
Yeah,
corpse
because
of
she can
Vision.
normally sense, like, I guess, the humanity in him, and
Yes, and it also
just
goes
wasn't
back
there.
to, yeah, it's a throwback line to
Mm-hmm.
what we got in Infinity War and Endgame actually. There's a scene at the very beginning of Infinity War where um they are together and Vision is like kind of sort of in some sort of like he the Mind Stone or like the Infinity Stone in his head is doing something, and he's like it's still a mystery to him, and he's
Mm-hmm.
in some sort of pain because of it,
Yeah.
and he asks her to like take a look at it with her powers, and she says like I can only feel you, all I feel is
Mm-hmm.
you. So that was like a bit of a throwback there, and then
Mm-hmm.
when Vision ultimately dies, and she has to kill him at the end of Infinity War. I
Yeah.
guess it wasn't really an end game throwback, only Infinity War. But at the end of Infinity War, he says it once again, just before she kills him, is I just feel you. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel any hurt, anything else. I just feel you, Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you and all of that. Yeah, that's a it's a tough thing, and just going through yeah, that with Wanda and Vision and then her entire life is just it's traumatic. It's depressing
Of
to think
course.
about,
Yeah.
really.
I mean, yeah.
And I think they handle that pretty well, like just the
Mm-hmm.
whole mental health side of things and how you
Mm-hmm.
handle depression and how it what it feels like to have trauma and going through tragic things in your life and still it's still with you, but also with that beautiful line with yes, you're grieving, but that's because you lost a loved one, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the love that is persevering. That's why
Mm-hmm.
you're grieving. Um, so yeah, it's I love that so much, so
Yeah.
much. All right, I'm just gonna look at the chat here and see what people are saying.
I have one more stupid detail that I loved about this is that
Oh, yep,
Malcolm in the Middle is actually canon in the MCU.
that's right, that's right.
I'm so happy.
That's right. Yes. The all like yeah, we got that like where she got all the references or like
Yeah,
why she was so obsessed with these sitcoms is because
yeah.
she's been
It
watching
actually
them.
exists. Yep.
It actually says
She's actually watching the show on TV, so
yeah, it wasn't just something for us as the
yeah.
audience, as the viewers,
No.
as going like, oh, that's a funny reference to a
Mm-hmm.
television series in our world. It's like, no, it is a part of this world.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing someone like Bryan Cranston, I really wanted to
Yeah.
say like a line from Breaking Bad or something when I saw him, like just say my name, something like that. But
Yeah.
of course, like he was first known from Malcolm in the Middle.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I that's a series that I'm gonna have to actually like. I don't think I've ever even watched a lot, like not even a
Yeah.
minute.
Oh my
Malcolm in
god.
the Middle.
Okay.
I have to. It just it wasn't big here. It wasn't on television in Denmark,
Okay.
so it's something I would have to find. Um,
Everyone has homework. Everyone's gonna leave this with homework.
yeah, yeah. Sorry. That's just gonna be it. Bye guys. Bye. No. But yeah, that was a nice detail as well. All right. So what are people saying here at the tail end of the stream? True Targaryen saying, I believe it's been said that the final episode is 50 minutes, so probably 43 minutes, excluding intro and credits. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Just between 40 and 50 minutes. I think that's enough to maybe wrap it up, and then it's gonna lead into something else in the MCU. They always like to tease us with what's gonna happen in the future. Um, so yeah, that's a possibility. Then Zack Fisher, it kind of felt like the penultimate episode to Mando season two. Yeah, building to something. And then we're gonna get like the big confront. Wow, that word just I can't get out of my mouth. Confront. Conf, they're gonna
Confrontational.
they're gonna confront each other in the last
Uh-huh.
episode. Then I can say it like that instead. Jesus. Um, yes, we are heading towards that. With the characters clashing and with the white vision, which is actually something from the comic well that I didn't get to talk a lot about in the reaction. Um, All right. Loving WandaVision, probably biased as I love the characters anyway. Yeah, I'm sure that's the case with a lot of people. Stu Pew Pew, I wasn't sure at first, but I like how the last episode answered stuff such as the sitcoms. Yes, we did get a lot of answers, and I'm sure people like that. Brace Juice, history videos with Major Dad. I sent you that big old list of links on Patreon. Hopefully, we can get to it at some point. He is very busy with work. Major Dad is. I can't really say what he's doing because, yeah, kind of secret what he's doing, like what he's working with. But he's busy. But we're gonna be able to watch some stuff soon, and he's gonna be watching the Falcon and Winter Soldier with me, and the Bad Batch, and then we're also gonna get into some more history stuff, and we could definitely do some of those history videos that you send us, and that could be both YouTube stuff, but also some Patreon exclusive stuff for sure, for sure. Stu Pew Pew again. Wanda recreated Vision's soul, but need Hayward's creation to leave the hex, or we will see Vision die again. Yes, that could also be an outcome. Um, More trauma, more tragic stuff happening,
Mm,
and her heart just getting broken again, again, again. Maybe she's
mm.
gonna turn into a villain, as many people are predicting. We'll see. We'll see. Favorite character in WandaVision other than Wanda and Vision? Do you have any like characters in the series that you
No,
think?
I'm not into it enough to have. I would have said Vision just because I think
Mm,
the actor is so good at delivering the lines, and the lines are so good that he's definitely my favorite.
yeah,
Other than them, I can't say that I know this enough to have another favorite character.
fair enough, fair enough. I would also say like just because we get to see new sides of Wanda and Vision, I really enjoy them a lot. I think Agatha Harkness, the witch, is
Mm,
doing like she's a really interesting character and a really great new addition to the MCU roster. And then just some of the minor roles. I like some of the other side characters. Oh, but one that I really like that we got introduced to in the series, or we saw that character as a child in one of the MCU movies, Captain Marvel, but got introduced to her as an adult in this series, and that's Monica Rambeau, who sort of also got powers. It seems like herself in one of the episodes, and trying to confront Wanda, and we don't really know what happened to her because she sort of just disappeared at the end of the previous episode before this one. So yeah, I think my answer would be Monica Rambeau if we're going like other than Wanda and Vision. And yeah, see, some people sympathizing with me getting tongue-tied. Thank you very much. Major
mm.
Dad be out there James Bonding. Maybe, maybe. Who needs 007 if there's Major Dad? All right. And then Ekti, I loved Catherine Hahn's portrayal as Agatha. Yeah, she's awesome. She's great in everything that she does. Okay, I think that's all the comments that we're gonna get
Yeah.
to here. But I do want to thank everybody who watched, who's still watching, who watched through the entire thing.
Thanks,
And
chat.
yes, thank you so much and for participating and for supporting. And I want to give a big thank you to you, Sweel, for joining me here very last minute.
Yeah.
I ended up asking
No,
you earlier today, but
I was super glad because I love talking about Avatar, especially. So this is just fun, and it's really
perfect.
cool.
Perfect. Let's do it again sometime. That's
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
always welcome, man. And especially when
Thank
we
you.
talk about Avatar, that's we can do a whole stream just about that
Yeah.
Avatar
Mhm.
centric thing at one point, and then Kat can maybe
Mhm.
join as well, and we can all
Oof.
talk about it. That would be awesome, 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 awesome.
Mhm.
Especially when we get some more news about what's gonna happen.
We'll have plenty more to talk about at some point
Yeah,
in the future for sure.
we
Yeah.
certainly do. We certainly do.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. There is one last question that I do want to address. Who do you think will be the big cameo at the end of the show? I would like to see Al Pacino as Mephisto, as rumored. A big actor like Al Pacino joining the MCU. He has expressed that he would want to do it, and it's based on actually Paul Bettany, who plays Vision. He said that he um he he got to work with an actor that he always wanted to work with for his entire life, is it him just trolling us, or does it really mean that we get to see someone like as big as Al Pacino pop up as some character? We'll see. We'll see. That's a good theory. And we can definitely get into that more at some other point. But yeah, that's gonna do it, guys. I'm just gonna end the stream here. Let me just remove the spoiler warning. We don't really need that anymore. It's not a big spoiler that we're ending the show. But yeah, thank you guys again. Thank you so much, Sweel. If you just wanna, yeah, stay on online on the channel.
Yep.
And then we can just, yeah, talk quickly afterwards. And yeah, but I'm just gonna end the show here. Thanks again, guys. Thank you for the support, for staying with us and for us talking and geeking out
Yep.
so
Thanks,
much.
Chad. Hoople, Brace, Zach, and True Targaryen has been very active.
Yes, very, very much. And to everybody who joined in,
Yeah.
James as well. And yeah, and I see my mom once again. Thank you for watching, Mom. Yes, that's gonna do it. Thanks again, guys. See you as soon as possible. Bye.